All right, and we're live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Tripp Smokepit. Before we get going, I want to remind everybody that since November is Military Appreciation Month, I am donating 22% of all of my sales from books, art, and music before taxes to Project Refit to help combat isolation in the military and first responders community. Secondly, I wish I could say this episode was brought to you by Coors, but they're not paying me. I just like drinking it. And tonight we have Matt from Vetpivot, which is a great podcast that you should totally check out, dude. How you doing tonight? We skipped this conversation the first time. How are we doing tonight?
Man, but I'm doing great. It's Friday, so I'm pumped. Loving life, and as we had talked about previously when we were booking this whole thing, you were like, you're in. You tried to figure out where I was, and you're like, oh, that's right, Voorhees. So I, as promised, I had the Jason Voorhees mask for the episode. So no, man, I'm doing great. And loving life and just rocking and rolling with Vetpivot and the day job. So it's a good time.
Nice. I did that thing where like I forgot to like read up on shit, so I crammed in a bunch of podcasts today. Two really good ones by you were, well, I love how you name these. It's the one with this guy, the one with that chick, like. And then
that's from, by the way, I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's from oh fuck, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh.
So when I first like put the podcast together, I was like, okay, well, I live just outside of Philly on the Jersey side. And that's a great fucking show anyways. So I said, why not name the episodes the same way they do? Like, this is the one with, Yuckabees. So, and then you just roll with it. Like, people, if they're interested, they'll figure it out and they'll listen.
Well, what's funny about that is they, to cut down on costs, use royalty-free music for all their stuff. So that music is just free to use. You pay like $1 subscription to whatever host site it is.
That's such a good show, man. It's such a good show, and it's hilarious. And to see where those some of those actors, like where they're like Charlie Day, like where his career went because of that show, I love it because he's so funny.
Yeah, no, I often find myself watching other things and wishing that they were in it. Like, did you see that show Future Man?
I did not see Future Man.
It's casted really well. It's a hilarious show. Check it out. It's great. Yeah. One character, like every 3 episodes, I go, man, I wish that actor was Charlie Day, but this guy's rocking it. But I still wish it was Charlie Day
because he's so good. He's just like the way he delivers his lines, his timing. It's really clever and it's really unique and it's him, and it's like he's the only one that does that, So you're like, oh man, I fucking love this guy.
He's almost like a modern Bobcat Goldthwait.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, he is like that. I wish I could do an imitation because I'm not an actor. I did do a little bit of that in school, but that was just because I didn't want to do other things. So
because you were young and needed the money.
Yeah, they did. In my high school, they did this thing called daytimes, like daytime theater. And basically, like once every quarter, they would shut down like a week of school, and teachers would go and take them to these productions that students put on. And basically, what you did was you would enroll for that semester in daytime theater. You would learn how to put together a production, and you would produce and put out your own play, right? And so they did this for the longest time. And then my group, we had a kid that was he's a talented writer, and he wrote, he wrote a script for us, and it had a lot of innuendo in it that the teachers didn't quite understand. And they were, these teachers were packing the theater, bringing their classes to come see our play. And they didn't get the joke, but the whole auditorium, like the whole theater is just dying, like roaring, laughing. And the teachers are sitting there, and you could tell like by the third production, they were like this. They were like, by the third show, they're like, what is so damn funny? Like, why is it so fun? Why do they laugh so hard when this guy says he's a box salesman and his wife's name is Camille Toe, right? Like, I don't understand why they're laughing so hard. Well, obviously the innuendo is a box salesman. He's a pimp. So It was, they just didn't get it until they realized. I think they started to put together because some students told them, and we got in so much trouble.
Fucking rats.
Snitches we got in so much trouble, and they shut down daytime theater, and the teachers had to have full purview of whatever it was we were putting. Totally ruined it for everybody. But yeah,
that's great. It sucks it got shut down, but that's great.
Oh yeah. Oh, we lived. It's great to be the one that got it shut down instead of the one that had to do it after it was shut down. Right. That's always the thing. Like, it's cool. We're the ones that kind of ruined it for everyone, but we had our fun, and whatever.
Generation 1 rebels on that.
That's right. But you said you were listening to some shows, cramming some shows. So
yeah, no. One of the ones I hadn't listened to before was one with I can't pronounce this dude's last name, but Nick Kumalatsos.
Oh, Nick Kumalatsos. Yeah. He's a beast.
Yeah, dude.
I love that episode. We talk politics.
Yeah, I was getting in there. I was like,
could have gone 2 different ways.
Yeah, it's like, man, there's a lot of coronavirus.
Yeah. Well, here's the story, and if you don't know it, at the time that I booked him, he was like in a battle with Governor, what's his name, Roy Cooper, in North Carolina. He's in a battle with this guy about like opening. He owns businesses, and
because they were talking about raiding his gym and closing it down.
They're raiding his gym. The video's out there. It's crazy. It is crazy. Like, they went into his gym like while it was closed. Yeah. They went into his gym with no warrant or anything, and they start questioning the employees and where's Nick? Looking for Nick, and it's nuts, man. He did a whole video. I mean, he posts a lot of shit, so it's deeply embedded in his timeline. But he did this whole video. I'll have to try and find it. I'll send it to you of a breakdown of the whole thing. Yeah. And it's nuts. I mean, I remember
there was a lot of that shit happening in March, April, May timeframe. Yeah. I haven't heard too much recently. I don't know if they're just not putting it in the news. They're preoccupied with the election, or
what a mess.
Yeah. I don't remember who was saying it, but somebody brought up the Gestapo correlation. I was like, well, I'm glad somebody fucking said it.
Yeah. It's a mess, man. It's a mess. But I did hear, I don't pay too much attention to it. But to be honest with you, at the end of the day, my big thing is, we put the uniform on and went and served to preserve people's right to vote and, these freedom and liberties that we enjoy as Americans and take for granted every fucking day. And now people are like, what? How could they possibly create fake ballots and rig the? This has been going on forever. Forever. This is not a new thing. It's just this time it's a little egregious because it's blatantly obvious and in our fucking face.
Yeah.
But I heard, and I don't know if this is true or not. I don't know the facts to back it up because I haven't done any research, so nobody come after me in my DMs or anything. But
I heard good for publicity.
Yeah, come at me at my DMs. I'm gonna post screenshots on my Instagram. I heard that they use blockchain technology to watermark the ballots. So I'm gonna fuck it up already. Department of Homeland Security was responsible for producing the ballots.
Right.
The ballots had a non-radioactive isotope put on them, which was this blockchain encryption code.
Right.
And if I don't know. We can go deep down the rabbit hole of blockchain. I studied it.
I've heard about the watermarks. I thought they were just actual watermarks. No, not
the
shit out of your Trigicon fucking ACOG they put on the fucking bottom of it or anything.
Yeah. So look, at this point, it's if I guess it was set up as a sting operation to catch fraud.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a massive nationwide recount next week, and then Trump fucking landslid won it afterwards.
Yeah. I look. Here's what I know. What I know is you will not see conservative fucks out in the streets, burning buildings down, throwing bricks through windows, looting, rioting, and all that fun stuff. There will be protests. I'm sure of it. There will be.
No, because in Nevada, I think it was Nevada or Arizona. It was Arizona. Fucking Alex Jones showed up. And there was X amount of fucking 100 of them with fucking AR-15s, telling them to vote right. But then then once they got done yelling, they all just went home.
They just went home.
Yeah.
They just went home. Exactly right. It's like, I remember a couple elections ago, right, when it was Barack Obama and Mitt Romney, right, or Obama and McCain, right? It's at the end of the day, what did the conservatives do? They lost
on Facebook
and they went back to work. Yeah. They bitched about it on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
But golly, Trump won an election in 2016, and they're still bitching about it. It's like, God, like, can we move on? Can we move on? And clearly, we haven't been able to.
Well, one of the things I think's funny with that like nobody really wants to realize on either side is that the government is not literally controlled by lizard people, but metaphorically, it's controlled by lizard people, and there's no functional difference in the regular person's life which party is holding that office. Like everybody likes to bitch about Trump, but granted, with the coronavirus, there's an outlier. But if the coronavirus wasn't there, let's just back this up to January. There was no difference in your life in January than there was any time before that.
No, and that's probably a good way of putting it. I think who was I talking to the other day about this? They hate him, but at the end of the day, like he came in as an outsider, right? He's not like a groomed politician. He grew up in politics. Like the last however many presidents we've had have kind of come through certain political offices, and to step into the ultimate political office, which is president of the U.S. And he didn't do that. He ran businesses. If you go back to like maybe Reagan was the last time we had someone that wasn't like your traditional politician, and people didn't like him either. But these guys come in and they get shit done, and that's tough to stomach. Like, he is not going to be perfect. He will definitely rub people the wrong way. But if you look at his approach, has pretty much, from like what I've been able to tell, has been like, okay, well, I'm pro-America, like any way I can put Americans first. Put your feet down, boy. Anyway, that's my son in the back. Any way I can put Americans first and try to help them out, bring jobs back to the U.S., be a dickhead to China. Like, these are things that I'm like, okay, I'm fine with this, right?
Well, what I was going to say though is, and mark my words on this, because this is the way things are going to go. I don't want to say this will happen, because it's what I'm going to say is stuff that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So everybody likes to bitch about what Trump's doing in office, right? And they're like, well, is this illegal? Can we get rid of him for this? Like, no, because legally he's allowed to do that as the president. So, so we're taking notes so that when our guy's in office, we'll make sure that no one else ever does this again. But to do that, they have to make sure that there's a Democrat president in charge that would sign off on that.
Yeah.
And they're not going to take away powers from a Democratic president. So all these issues that they have with Trump, they have those issues with Trump, not with that president doing it, or not with a president doing it. And they're not going to revoke those powers to save themselves in the future, because they want those powers when their guys are in office.
Yeah. And you also have to ask yourself, doth thou protest too much, right? It's like you have a lot of problems with the things that he's doing. And sometimes when people scream a lot about something or point a finger at someone's direction and say that they're bad, maybe we should examine your own closet and see what skeletons we find, because it's, I'm not trying to be in your face conservative. What I'm trying to be is like, well, let's think about what's best for our country, and let's put aside these two assholes that are running, because clearly their personalities are not everybody's favorite,
Well, here's a suggestion that nobody fucking likes. It's, why don't we make the office, or the executive office, have so little power that it doesn't matter who's the president?
Like, make them literally a figurehead. Like,
not literally a figurehead, but like, you have the final sign off if we go to war, and you sign yes or no to what Congress does.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of all this executive action bullshit.
Well, it's the big thing is like the veto, right? The power to veto.
Right,
like that's the primary, like, I have this power.
Yeah. So ultimately your power is to say no to Congress.
Yeah.
I'd be okay if we did that.
Yeah.
because I wouldn't want the way you should look at this is we should set this office up and these rules for in preparation for someone who has the exact opposite moral compass of me to be there.
Yeah. At the end of the day,
that's not any candidate.
Emphasis is placed on it anyways. I think there's a lot of people that give way too much of a fuck about what other countries think of us. Yeah. And, it's like, the difference between us and that country is that they keep their shit on lock and they don't air their dirty laundry.
Well, the other thing with that is we also pay most of their bills if you're in Western Europe or Eastern Asia, not China. So
I worked for NATO for 3 years. We foot like 99% of what was going on over there.
Uh-huh.
And I'm looking around like the amount of stuff that's being poured, the amount of money that's being poured into this place. And I'm like, how are we in this like terrible deal? Why are we in this deal where we are clearly being raped?
There is an up to it. It's not enforced as often as I think it should be. But the idea behind that is, listen, if we're paying for all your shit, you're going to do what the fuck we tell you to do.
Yeah. And there's the trade piece of it too, right? So we have open trade alliances there. And
I don't think that, like, how there's this negative stereotype about how America is the new empire. It's like, we'll get on board with that, but I don't think we're doing enough in that situation. Like, ideally, like, I'm an isolationist, and if Russia wants to take Europe, let Russia have Europe. But if we are going to be footing Europe's bill so that, Russia doesn't take over Europe, make with the moolah.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. Like, how about we have some reduced tariffs on exports and imports, right? That's don't charge us so much. And I don't know. To me, what I would like to see is I have always been a fan of Trump's stance on China. I think that some of the pain that we felt from that economically was indicative of the lopsidedness that was going on. And so it may have hurt at first, but that helped us right the ship a little bit, if you will, and that, it also helped bring shit back to the US where things are being made here in America, where jobs are being created, and that's, to me, when I vote, I'm like, okay, well, that's important to me. I do a podcast that talks to veterans about how they make successful transitions out of the military. If there's no jobs in the fucking US, that makes the podcast kind of difficult. Like, hey, bud, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. So what have you been doing? Well, I got a job at Home Depot. That's cool.
Lowe's has a very competitive management training program.
Okay, so I have a buddy that actually he just got laid off last week, but they got rid of half the store. But over the last year, like, he showed up just to like work there, like, while he was going to school, and to do anything besides just push boxes around. Like, leave me alone, let me do my work, let me get a paycheck, go off. So he was there for like a week and a half, and he's like, hey, listen, we're gonna make you the assistant department head. And he's like, why? He's like, because you're good at your job. And he's like, I don't want to do that. And he's like, you're getting promoted or you're getting fired. And that happened all the way up to assistant general manager. And then, COVID, economy, fucking whatever. Like, hey, listen, we got to let half the store go, and you've only been here a year. So bye, buddy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a salary cut, right? It's like, okay, well, we're just going to get rid of this overhead that we don't need to pay for. It's tough, man. Look, the economy being shut down the way it has been, it has been nothing but bad for people. And to have it shut down like that, and then on top of that, you have no way of people being able to like get a paycheck, people waiting a long time for unemployment. It's just a tough situation. It's like a really bad situation. Knock on wood, I've been very blessed to have my job throughout this entire thing. And I know that's not the case for a lot of people out there that have struggled through this. So,
and then, like, I know that I complain about it a lot because I'm very dissatisfied with where it's going, but right now is a really good time to be on the GI Bill.
Dude, yes.
Yeah.
The GI Bill. And this is another thing too. Like, if you are if you are still in the military, like you need to have your shit documented, man. Like you need to make sure you need to be on top of, and being on top of your medical records starts like from day one in your military career. It's not like, hey, I got a year left, I got to go figure this out. Like, it needs to be day one. You should like have notes of injuries, timelines, and all that stuff, so that
even small shit, like you go to medical for like fucking head, just give me some aspirin, I'll be on my way, and that way it's written down.
Yeah,
happen again.
Yeah, you need to, because look, you'll get to a point, like whether you did 4 years, I did 12, you do 20, right? Then you get to a point you're like, oh fuck, that was when was that? What did happen? Or you forget about some of those little nagging injuries that you pick up, and every little bit adds up. And, you know,
and a lot of it you forget, like why shit hurts. Like like my neck is always in like fucking constant fucking pain. And when I was getting out, like I kind of forgot about why, because it just did, because like I hurt my neck in like the beginning of 08 and got out at the end of, or the middle of 18, right?
Right.
And I was going over my shit, getting ready to get med sept, and I was like, I fell off of a wall in Korea and landed on my head. I don't remember that. But okay, all right, cool.
I know. I wish I had more medical evidence. I fell when I was in training. My first job in the Air Force, I was climbing antenna towers and telephone poles, which was really cool job. But I fell.
Actually, go with your story, and then we'll go into that. But sorry.
Yeah, I fell off the top of the telephone pole. Like we were gaffed in, and I fell. These things, I don't know how tall they were, 30, 35, 40 feet. It's a pretty hefty distance to fall at. Man, I fucked my leg up pretty good. And I was on what we call CQ, right? Charge of quarters. I was on charge of quarters while my knees healed, and they were all jacked up. I had tears in my PCL and MCL, and just all messed up. And they were like, well, here's some crutches. Keep your feet, keep off your feet. Like, you're not going to get surgery out of this. And I was like, you're telling me I have tears? Like, what are we talking about here?
Well, what we're talking about is you didn't drink enough water and your socks, and this is why that's happened to you.
That's right. What we're talking about here, young man, is that you have only been in the Air Force for 3 months, and we don't want to pay for that unless your leg's about to fall off. And that's really what it boiled down to. So, and who knows, like, what healed on its own, because it was like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks before they'd even get me in for an MRI. Like, it happened, and then I'm all jacked up for like 2.5, 3 weeks. And then I finally got the MRI, and they're like, yeah, you have partial tears. And I was like, I'm not a doctor, but that doesn't sound right. Like, bro, I can't walk.
Yeah, no, fucking, so my ankles and knees had fucking killed me since like my first fucking deployment. I did, 3 after that. And, I'd go in and be like, hey, listen, these things hurt. All right, well, here's some Motrin, here's some water. Fucking, do you want to go on light duty? I'm like, no. But, no, just give me the fucking pills. I'll fuck off. And then when I was getting out, they did all the fucking, I'm sorry, not when I was getting out. What led to me getting out was, I went in and like some like blessed Navy, whatever medical officer he was, like, you've been seeing a lot for this. Why don't you, come in and do all this stuff? Hey, you're supposed to have this thing called sinew in your ankles. You don't. And there's this piece of cartilage that's supposed to be between your femur and these two bones down here. It's supposed to be about this thick. You got about a dime down there. So you can't stay in the Marine Corps anymore. Sorry, bud.
Yeah, you're no longer worldwide qualified. So
worldwide qualified. I like that.
That's an Air Force term, man. That's hey, you're not worldwide qualified, so we have to, like, I remember the first time I heard that was I was going to Qatar, right? And before I left, I had to get you have to get signed off by dental. And so I go into dental, and they scan my teeth, and they're like, you got like some pitting here in the back of one of your teeth. You're not worldwide qualified yet. So I had to like have this fix in like like 24 hours because we were leaving in 72 or something, and it was fucking nuts, man. Then I get back. This is a fucked up story. So I get back. I've never had a cavity in my life, by the way.
Until you started eating that defect food.
Until this point, I get back. I go. It's not a cavity. It's just like something going on. I had an impacted wisdom tooth, so they had to remove that impacted wisdom tooth. Is really what ended up happening. And then when I got back from Qatar, they're like, "You have 7 cavities." And they're like, "What did you do while you were in Qatar?" I was like, "Oh, well, I did what everyone did. Like I was having a hard time staying awake, and so what I did was I just went to bed with a bunch of Jolly Ranchers in my mouth, and that is that bad?" And they like the look on their face. They were like, "Are you serious? Are you serious?" Like they didn't know how to take me. Like, yeah, and I kept playing. I kept fucking with them because they're like these officers. And I was like, yeah, I didn't really care for the sour apples because it was just too much once you get more than 3 in your mouth. But the grape and the watermelon is a really good combination, and that would usually keep me going for a little while, and I was able to pound out some more work. But yeah, not with the sour apple. So I thought it was good, but apparently, and they're like, at this point, they're like, I don't know if you're telling the truth. I'm like, yeah, no, for sure. And you just like have this awkward moment where you're staring at them.
Well, I mean, the thing is to figure out how to fuck with people the right way,
Yeah, you got to know. You got to know how far you can push it. And I've been a line pusher for my entire life. I'm sure my mom's probably watching right now. I've been the kind of guy that's always fucked with people.
Yeah.
I got that training. I got signed off on that task, very early in childhood, and it's one that it's probably my favorite attribute that I have.
No, because like one of the ways that I like to fuck with people, still like to fuck with them. Picked this up about halfway through my Marine Corps career, but it turns out that if you like spend 8 months eating nothing but MREs, like you'll get really bad fucking hemorrhoids. Like it kind of like makes your asshole look like the brain bug from Starship Troopers, like the little like it like stabs people and shit. But fucking every once in a while that also leads to like really bloody stool, which can also be cancer, but like they're not really they're different things, but you want to check up on it anyway. The first time you're like, oh, god damn it, I don't know what to fucking do with this. This is embarrassing. Cleaning, like, are these gonna be tampons? I don't know what the fuck to do right now. Hey, medical guy, help me out. And then like after like 1 or 2 of those, you're like, all right, so I'm gonna go in. There's an E2 talking to me right now. I'm gonna like just jumble my words, be like, oh, so I got the stuff. I don't know. It'd be easier if I show you and just like drop your pants and like strike your asshole apart. And they're like, oh god, put your pants back on. It's like, I'm just showing you what's wrong, man. They're like, I'm gonna go get the MO. I'll be back.
I love messing with people. I taught one of my favorite things. My last job in the Air Force was.
Did you have in the Air Force? Like,
what's that?
Did you lap move while you're in? Did you make a lateral move, like switch MOSs?
Yeah, kind of. So, my career trajectory was like I was cable and antenna systems. Then I did a bunch of fiber optic projects when I was in Belgium, and then I went and did MTI duty, which is our drill sergeants,
right? And
did that for 5.5 years, and then I did. I was plans and programs. So I ran the plans and programs shop. And that was like all the big IT projects going on the installation. So I had like a small team that I worked with, and I had this young staff sergeant. And we had a bunch of guys that were out the door. They were deployed to different locations doing the same thing, executing contracts in different deployed locations. So it was just me and the staff sergeant for like 6 months, working on like 30 different projects that needed to be executed. It was madness, man. There were days where like we had triple booked meetings and we just couldn't be everywhere at once. But I would take him places and I'd be like, you know what? We're not getting the answer we need from this person. Why? And he'd be like, well, I sent him an email. Like, you sent him a what? An email? Fuck email. And like, we're going to his office. We're going to kick down his door. Like, so we would we would go places and then we would ask a question and be like, so what I'm trying to get done is I need to bring fiber optic cable underneath the flight line. So I'm gonna have to shut down airfield operations for about 3 days. Can we do that? And you're sitting there and you got the airfield operations manager in front of you, and they've got like a 24/7 flight schedule. And you're like, no, I really need to do this. There's like, I don't know, $150 million project going on right now. And then they're like, well, you can't do it. And just you stand there. And I told him, he's like, well, what are we going to do? Like, this is like before we even walked in. I said, you ever watch Step Brothers? He's like, yeah, I love that movie. I was like, you know, when they want to build bunk beds? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, so they wait until they get the definitive answer. And they're like, so that's what we're going to fucking do. We're just going to stand in front of them until we get the answer we want. Or they take us to a person that's going to give us that answer. So that's what we did. We stood in front of this person and we were just like, I was like, you're going to want to talk because it's going to be really quiet for about, I don't know how long it's going to go. It might be really quiet for like 2 or 3 minutes, but most people can't last more than 30 seconds. So let's see how it plays out. And we had this chief master sergeant in front of us. And I just asked the question. I was like, so that's what we need to do. And I just stared at him. And I didn't move. And he's like, well, I don't know what to tell you. And I just stood there. It took everything in my fiber, like, to be like, all right, just stand there and just stare at this motherfucker. He cracked. He was like, all right, look, I guess we can go talk to the colonel. Like, if you come back at this time, we'll go talk to the colonel. We'll have a time set up. And I was like, yes.
Now, see, what you're lucky didn't happen was somebody approved it. However, you and like one other dude had to take shovels and like tunnel under the fucking tarmac. Like you're like building a fucking like underground railroad to get to like the enemy trench in World War I to go fucking.
Yeah. Well, the good news was there was already a pathway pretty much there. We just needed to clear some of the duct that was under there. So I had contractors that were ready to do that work. And I just needed the green light, and I needed to know when that window was that we were going to shut it down. So what we ended up working around was we were celebrated for this, by the way, by the airfield team, because we got them to shut it down over a weekend, like a 3-day weekend. Yeah. And basically, so basically there were no air operations going on for that 3-day weekend, and people were like, this is fucking awesome. You know, they were really pumped up about it. And we got
like, they didn't have to, like, you know, they still had to come to the fucking hangar and check in during their.
Yeah, they probably did. Yeah, they probably did. But, you know, some of us, you know, we choose to work in comm, and some of us choose to work as crew chiefs for aircraft. And look, if you get fucked by your decision, that's your fault, okay? Or your recruiter. You can blame the recruiter. But at the end of the day,
yeah. Well, one of the things I would do similar to that, not that kind of scale, but back with fucking with people, is there was more than one time where somebody else needed something done, and I would go talk to someone that was senior than me that didn't like me and like would just like not do shit because, you know, I don't like your face, fuck you. And, like, I'd argue with them, like whether it be, you know, fucking first sergeant, master sergeant, all the way up to fucking captain, about this, that, or whatever. I'm like, sir, I need this, or first sergeant, I need this, blah, whatever. Oh, fuck, you're not gonna. All right, well, the colonel sent me an email to get it done, so I'm gonna need you to email the colonel and tell him no, because I printed out the email. Here you go, and then get the fuck out of my office.
I love messing with the corporate types, man. I love I work in corporate America now, right? And it's.
I'm sorry.
No, it's, you know, what it is. But to me, I have a lot of fun with it because I do fuck with people still. Yeah. So like, I took on this new role, and I do like governance and platform execution for this big IT program. And one of the things that I had to do was I have to stand up governance process, right? We have to be able to prove that we have like processes in place to mitigate risk.
Right.
You know, for the shareholders. So it's a big deal. And a lot of what I do has to be reported back to regulatory committee. So I called it governance as a service, GAAS, gas. Like, and so I did this to poke fun at people that are like, yeah, it's software as a service, it's an IT kind of play on words thing. But then I go like, hey,
official.
Yeah, like people like I'll like they'll talk about governance, and I'll like unmute myself in a Zoom call, like, yeah, I got gas, and it's like say like I got gas, and people are like, what did he just say? Like, yeah, I got gas. Governance as a service, yeah, that's me. Listen, this so people are like, did he just say he has gas?
I mean, that's an attention getter. Like,
it is. My boss loves it too, man. Like I put a post up today. My new boss, I pinged him, and I was like, hey, is it too early for a beer? And he was like, I hope not. I fucking love this guy. Like, let's go.
Hey, look, you can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning.
That's right. He does that too. Like I feel like it is it's a match made in heaven type boss and employee relationship, because he talks about drinking and he fucks with people all the time. Like, I'm like, who is this guy? Like, why? How am I so lucky to work for this dude? So I'm like, are you sure you didn't serve? Like, are you sure you weren't in the military? He's like, no, my brother was a Marine. I was like, okay, well, close enough. Good.
Yeah, fuck it. Good for government.
Yeah, okay, we can be friends.
Is that guilty by association?
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, you're guilty by association. He quoted Michael Scott. He was like, he goes, I hit an employee with my car, but it was a company car and it was on company property. I think it's double jeopardy. And it's like, he's like, and corporate was like, that's not how it works, Michael. He goes, oh, that's right. What is? I think that's double jeopardy. It's like, oh God. I was cracking up, man. I was dying when I heard that. But,
dude, no, and Steve Carell was a fucking great fucking casting decision for them. Like, I don't know too much about him before that. Like, I don't know if that was like his first big thing or not, but either they nailed the casting or he found the perfect role to fucking make his break big, because he always plays the same character.
Yeah, but I think they nailed the casting. To be fair, to be fair, right? If you watch,
to be fair.
To be fair.
To be fair.
Figured out. So they nailed the casting on that, man. Like you think of like Dwight, Jim. Like, look at what some of these folks have gone on to do, like with their careers.
Well, no, dude, did you watch it was a remake of Jack Ryan. Did you watch Jack Ryan?
Yes.
Dude, fucking Jim from The Office, like that whole fucking series, like they have Pam, and he's like, all right, I'm fucking on it.
I love that show though, by the way. Like,
it's so good.
It's so good. And damn it, Amazon, like if you couldn't just continue to produce them, like, come on, let's have it rolling so that I had it in the fall and the spring, and I'm not waiting a whole year for the next season.
Well, Amazon's got great fucking shows too. Like I
think.
Do. Say what?
They do. No, you're right.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, like everybody talk about Netflix. Netflix, I think, has good shows. Amazon has amazing shit. Like, you got Jack Ryan. I don't know if you've seen The Boys. That was fucking amazing. Or
I haven't watched that yet.
Okay, The Boys is fucking great. Watch it. And then The Expanse is fucking phenomenal.
What's The Expanse about? What's that one?
So it's like the plot kind of changes each season, like because it's based off of a series of books, and like each book's a different story almost completely, but it's the same core group of characters. But it starts off with it's, I don't know, 500 or 600 years in the future, and like the solar system is like populated, and there's, imagine like what was that big thing in the Cold War with Cuba? Imagine the Cuban Missile Crisis, right?
Missile Crisis, yeah.
Instead of America and Russia, it's Earth and Mars, and like Solar System World War or Solar System War 1 is about to fucking happen, and you get like all the politics on each side, but the main characters are just like some scavengers that are like, hey, so we're just trying to like pick up on junk out in the asteroid belt so we can sell it for scrap. So leave us out of this, but as plot will do. They get drug into it, and then there's also their stories don't come together until, if I remember right, the end of season 1 or sometime in season 2. But in the asteroid belt, Thomas Jane is like this like old, like crusty, like almost like 30s noir detective.
Yeah,
around trying to like solve this weird crime that, you know, they eventually come together. And then I don't want to spoil anything big, because I think the plot for season 2, just telling you what it is, you know, ruins season 1.
okay.
But I
gotta watch it.
It's beautifully shot. The soundtrack's amazing, and then like all the characters are perfectly fucking written. Like, hey, this guy's a good guy. I like him. He's a good guy. This guy's a good guy, but he acts like a dick, but he's lovable anyway. This dude is a giant asshole, and I want him to get stabbed in the face, but god damn it, that actor is not fucking doing his job.
You know what? Here's the thing that I've noticed, I think, is I feel like Amazon brings up better production value.
Yeah.
Overall, right? I feel like Amazon Studios and what they're doing, like with the, you know, I think they just beat Netflix time and time again.
Yeah.
Like, did you watch Man in the High Castle?
Yes, and I hated it, and we can go on a fucking rant about this.
We could go on a rant about it. But I thought it was shot I thought it was, the production value of Man in the High Castle is very high.
Dude, it's phenomenal.
And where here's where I kind of diverge on Man in the High Castle and stopped watching. It was like I just couldn't come around on the plot. Like I kept waiting for it to kind of come together for me, and it never did.
Well, there's good news about that, though. So Man in the High Castle was originally a book by Philip K. Dick, the same guy that Blade Runner and Total Recall. And I read that book because I love Philip K. Dick. That book was trash. The TV show is better than the book. The book was just fucking bad. So pretty much what happened in the book was, remember Juliana Crane and not John Smith, but the young double agent Nazi guy.
Yes. Yep.
So him and her are in a car. They hook up at a diner, and they're both looking for the Man in the High Castle because he wrote this book that, like, the Grasshopper Lies Heavy was the book that he wrote in, and it was this very subversive novel about the occupation of America. And they talk about the book, but you never understand what's actually in it. And then you keep waiting for something to happen, and then it doesn't. And then at the end of the book, they get the Man in the High Castle's house, which is just like in Colorado, and everybody knows he lives there. And they never answer why the Nazis didn't kill him. And then he says, all right, I'll give you an autograph. Get off my property. And then the book fucking ends.
What?
Yeah. But what I hated about the show, though, was I did like the show. I thought it was well made. The last season fell the fuck off. But I hated all the good guys, and I loved fucking I'm sorry, I really liked John Smith. I think he was great. Like the whole like Third Reich Nazi thing was, they just knocked it out of the park, because like as the show went on, the more I hated the main characters because they were fucking douchebags.
Yeah.
And the reason I say I don't like the show is because I was like, come on, Nazis, you can do this. You can do this, guys.
Yeah, you're like, what am I doing?
Why am I rooting for the Nazis? That and the Japanese dude, Inspector.
I rooted for the Japanese dude, the inspector.
Yeah, dude, he was fucking great.
I rooted for him all the time. And I was like, why am I rooting for this guy? Because you always felt like he was going to come over to the good. You know what I mean? Like, you always felt like, okay, well, he works for this terrible thing, right? Yeah, he's part of this terrible empire. But you can see the humanity in him and his compassion. And you're like, okay, that's kind of endearing. And I really appreciate that about him.
Yeah.
But he has a job to do. You know, it's like, oh God.
Tommy Allen in the comments said, yes, they do. He was in the neutral zone. I didn't read that till late, so you're gonna have to give me a paragraph on what that meant. Sorry, buddy. But yeah, no. Like, Cheeto never came around to the good side, but he maintained his version of integrity.
Yes.
And I respected him as a man.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, and I respect that. It's like, okay, well, I got it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you cannot like come around to the good. He still has like a life that he's trying to live and goals and dreams and aspirations as a character, as a person, right? But he also he did have this sort of gentleman's code about how he handled business, and that was, I appreciate that. I'm a big
Kim Pei Tai.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of like Western. It just, to me, I think there's this code that people should live their lives by, right? And that's
and it was very samurai about it.
Yes.
And Western movies, the reason Western movies got big was they were all blatant ripoffs of old samurai movies.
That's right.
The Magnificent Seven was actually just the Seven Samurai redone. Fun fact about that: the Seven Samurai was done by a dude named Akira Kurosawa. He also did a movie called The Forbidden, or I don't remember if it was Forbidden Fortress or Hidden Fortress, but Star Wars is a remake of that.
No shit.
Yeah.
No shit. I got to check that out. That's cool. have you look, I know this is kind of blurring the lines between like Western and soap opera, but one of the shows on TV that I've a guilty pleasure for me is Yellowstone. Have you watched Yellowstone?
I have never even heard of Yellowstone.
Yellowstone with Kevin Costner. Okay.
Yeah, that's gonna be a no for me because I hate Kevin Costner so bad. But go on.
Yeah. He can convert you here.
For it, I'll watch the first episode. How about that? Deal?
Okay. You may have to watch 2 episodes.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. Here, the first one goes like an hour and 20 minutes because they're setting everything up. And I appreciate that because I feel like sometimes shows shoot themselves in the foot because they like time box themselves to 45 minutes. And they're like, well, we're going to do 45 minutes, which means it's going to take us 3 or 4 episodes to set up the story of what's going on here. Yellowstone doesn't do that. They're like, no, fuck you. We're doing 90 minutes. You're going to learn everything that's going on. You're going to have like your protagonist and antagonist storylines here, and we'll set the show up so that it ends with a good hook that brings you in for episode 2. So, but what I'll do is I'll kind of set the scene for you a little bit. Is you have a battle between, and it's a political battle between a couple different players. Kevin Costner.
Because they don't have enough political battles going on in the media right now.
Yeah, but this one's cool because it's bloodthirsty. Okay, and there's some cool shit going on here. And before you go any further,
I do want to say that instead of an election, we should just have a civil war every 4 fucking years.
What we should have a duel.
Yeah,
Biden and Trump should just duel each other. 10 paces, turn around and shoot.
Fair enough. And then if you cheat, you get shot, and that's who your vice president's there for, so they go next.
That's right. Alexander Hamilton, right? You know what? At the end of the day, let's just do it like, okay, Pence versus Kamala Harris. Who would you rather have? And let's just do that because I think at this point, Trump and Biden are old enough that it really could be any day.
I don't know. I don't know enough about their family histories because there are some people that like go senile when they're 60 and don't kick the bucket till they're 110. And there's some people that are like healthy their entire life and then fall dead at 45. So
what I'm looking at is Biden is clearly he's in a decline with his health. Like it's obvious. And it's so terrible that no one is like speaking on his behalf in his family to say like, this is not good for dad. Like he's clearly not himself, and we should preserve him and his memory and who he is as his legacy of serving his government for 47 years, right?
Although I don't put it above him to abdicate the day after he takes office.
That's true. That's true.
If he wins,
and then Trump eats McDonald's like every day, right? How's this fucking dude alive? The best drugs money can buy.
Yeah.
Huge. It's where was I? What I was talking about Yellowstone? Yeah, Yellowstone. Okay,
Yellowstone. Kevin Costner is a cowboy.
Kevin Costner is a cowboy. He is the commissioner of livestock. Livestock commissioner. That's what he is. He's a livestock commissioner. I watched the show, I swear. He's a livestock commissioner. He is a widower. He has these kids that are kind of different backgrounds. There's a secret storyline going on with the ranch hands and what goes on with them. And then he's up against some adversaries. He's got an adversary is like an out-of-towner that's moved into the state and is trying to open up like resorts and bring in more out-of-towners, and that, kind of like don't California my Wyoming, don't California my Montana, don't California my Arizona, that kind of mindset. And then also you have the reservation. They have a new chief. A new chief was elected on the reservation, and he is like anti Kevin Costner also. And so it's like a really big, there's a big drama that builds in season 1. It's really good. And there's some, litigation that goes into it. So like when people like Westerns, it's there. If people like political drama, it's there. If people like lawyer shows, it's there. If you like cop shows, it's there. If you know what I mean, it's kind of all there.
Do you know what else has all of that?
The show has all of that.
Do you know what other show has all of that?
What?
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Birdball, the Duster.
Hey, look at that. You're making a connection here that I wasn't even making. But
imagine the exact same thing again. Like I haven't seen Yellowstone, but imagine it again. But instead of Kevin Costner, it's Ronald Mac McDonald.
That's right. That's right. Instead of the hot shot that's coming in, it's Charlie Day, right?
And he plays both sides, so no matter what happens, he comes out on top.
Right. Frank's the reservation chief, just got elected.
Well, no, because he played the Indian in was it Lethal Weapon 5?
Yeah. Yep. That's such a good show, man. Holy smokes. And I'm talking about It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but also Yellowstone. So if you haven't seen Yellowstone, check it out. We also watch, have you seen The Queen's Gambit? You watched this yet on Netflix?
I've seen the thing on Netflix. I haven't watched it yet, though. Is it good?
It's good, man. It's good. It's bringing chess back. I don't know if you play chess, but
yes, I do. And I'm rusty now. I haven't played it in years, but I at one point I was really good. And by really good, I mean, like I had nothing to do for a long time. Long story short, at some point in high school, I ended up in Ohio, and I didn't want to do drugs, so I had to find something else to do, and it was play guitar and chess and like bang chicks that were either 2 years younger or 30 years older than me. All time, right?
Yeah.
But there was a good bit of time I spent in fucking Afghanistan just playing chess with the interpreters, and apparently that's big over there. And it was really funny because the interpreters we had didn't speak good English, so euphemisms and idioms didn't work. So like I'd make a move and they're like, "I want to fight you." I'm like, "You want to fight?" And he's like, "No, on board." I'm like, "Oh,
on board. I will murder you." What?
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
And then he would take my queen, and I'd be pissed off.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really well done show. It's another one. It's like it's really well done. You're like, holy smokes, this is a good fucking show. You can get into it. It doesn't have like it doesn't have anything like overtly that it has to put in your face. Like I feel like everything Netflix puts out now, it has to like put shit in your face to be woke. And it's like, come on, man, like just give me the show. Like some things don't fit with the storyline. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't say everything has to be woke. A lot of it does, but The Witcher wasn't.
Okay. Yeah. Some shows.
Yeah.
I can say like Queen's Gambit is not woke, right? It just is what it is. It's about this badass chick playing chess in an era where women weren't doing things like that. You know, they were, and it draws those parallels, but she's like this chess prodigy and an orphan, and she's kicking people's ass and she's learning lessons, and
she's also having relationship problems and her life's going to shit because like she can't stop doing heroin.
Yeah, she has a drug and alcohol problem for sure.
No, why would anybody talented have a drug and alcohol problem?
Well, it's the creatives. It's the creative. Some say that's where they draw their inspiration.
Fucking it was kind of funny because I want to say it was like last semester. I want to go into the thing about me being dissatisfied with school. A lot of that comes from like, I have been doing art for a hot minute. I'm in my 30s. I don't want a 32-year-old who hasn't done anything besides go to college and then start teaching college to like teach me shit when I've done it in the real world, and B, I'm better than you. But one of the things that I did think was like really funny was I painted this portrait of David Allan Coe, and it was like I did it with acrylics, but it looks like a fucking oil painting. It came out great, if you ask me, because and that's something coming from me because I think most of my art's shit, but this came out fucking great.
Yeah,
and was talking to the fucking teacher, but I was like, "How'd you do this?" I was like, "I don't know. I was blackout drunk." Well, I got some beers and a canvas, and I put on "Darlin', Darlin'," and I just kind of went at it. I don't fucking know.
I love that though, man. Here's the thing. I've seen your artwork. Obviously, I think it's really cool. Like it's unique. It tells its own fucking story. I think that any artist that's worth their fucking weight is doing something that speaks through their own voice and not doing something just because it's commercial and they want to sell shit. They're doing it because this is mine. I'm unapologetic about it. My inspiration came from the moment or whatever it is. Like I had shown you, I had told you about Casey, right?
Oh,
Casey.
yeah. Dude, fucking, I went and stalked the shit out of that shit. Well, not like, like went to her house or anything. But,
yeah, right. No, but
yeah, like went to her like website and like just like went through her Instagram. And what was her full name? So
Casey
people can
Lynn Hancock. Casey Lynn Hancock. Air Force veteran.
That chick is fucking amazing. Like she had one painting and it was like this, like what? It was like a 2x4 foot picture of an eye, like this big. And I was like, it was like God spoke to me. And I was like, dude, you're self-taught. Okay. All right. I'll go fuck myself real quick.
Self-taught, bro. Self-taught. And you can listen to her. Like if you're listening to Vetpivot episodes, you can catch her, golly, it's going way back to like episode 13 or something like that. I have to look, but it's way back there. And
it's the one with Rich Cardona.
Maybe Casey Lynn Hancock. Maybe she's like 15, 11.
15 is Jocelyn Joseph.
14.
14 is the one with Sarah Roberts.
God damn it.
10. The one with Casey Lynn Hancock. There we go.
Yeah!
Episode 10. Listen to that.
Brother. Well, first of all, I'm going to slap myself in the back here because I've done 86 episodes of the podcast.
I'm just giving you shit.
I have that kind of recall where I can go back to like, I nailed it within like 1 or 2, like a +or-2 on that. So I'm pretty proud of myself. And I've been drinking. So cheers. The talent that she has, man, like she was in a marketing job.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give it all away. You can listen to the episode and
just give me the wave tops because that episode's hour and 17 minutes long, and I'd imagine it's packed because normally you get some pretty good as the Irish call it crack in there. So
yeah, it's good. I think the interview probably starts somewhere around at minute 25 because that was back when we were doing more variety and we were featuring artists like musicians and also talking about different topics and in the veteran world.
Like there was a one I was listening to earlier and fucking D-Cure and TMR did like a theme song for it. Do you not have that up on there anymore?
We do. I do the theme song. I put a condensed version of the song. So it's like the A10 and then it's TMR comes in with this like pivot for season 2. That's what I've been doing just to get to the episode. And then I always
Speaking of the A10, for the longest time, might have to do with that. I'm also dyslexic. I thought that your fucking podcast was Vetpilot. I was like, all right, VTPI, letter OT. There's an airplane. Vetpilot, got it.
Bro, people do that all the time. Like it's not just you. People are like Vetpilot, and they're like, "What's Vetpivot?" I'm like, that's the name of the fucking show. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, because people see the plane and they're like, "Oh yeah, pilot." I'm like, no. No, it's Vetpivot. Like we're pivoting from the military into civilian life. So, yeah, no, but she's a badass, man. She left her job. She went out on her own. She became an artist. She talks about like, hey, you have to create pieces that people want to buy, and develop a market for that. And you got to crank those out. And if you crank out enough of them each month, then you can do your own passion projects and sell them for whatever the fuck you want, or just keep them.
Yeah.
And it's basically what she was talking about. And it's really cool because she's now done like some collaborations like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and she's done a collaboration. Like she did her artwork for, it was a partnership or collaboration between the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Fender, and Major League Baseball, right? And it was for the All-Star game that took place in San Diego, which is where she lives. And so she did this guitar with her artwork and the San Diego skyline and all this stuff, Major League Baseball and the Padres logo, and it's on a Fender guitar. It's so fucking cool, man. I'm like, you put that on a guitar. Like, have you ever done anything on a guitar? Like, you ever put art on a guitar before? Like, that's not a normal medium for people to put their artwork.
Well, not even that. Like, depending on what guitar it is, it might be like weird and contoured.
Yeah.
Because I have a couple guitars that because a lot of times, if you're looking at it from the back, it's flat. But I have some that they come up like this, and then they do this, and then whatever. So like,
right. Yeah. She's just cool, man. She's just, everything that she has done, she has taught herself to do. Like the acrylic piece of it, when she like torches it and makes her paintings like glossy finish, and it's just cool. And the way that for me, like being business minded, I want to know like, okay, well, how do you run the business of it? Like, how do you do that side of it? Like, I get the art piece, like that's something that's not taught. That's something that you just have this talent for, this affinity for. But
I will disagree with you on that.
Okay.
It is taught. It's just not taught by anybody else. You have to teach yourself it. And
right. Okay. Yeah.
No one's naturally talented. And then when people ask, hey, how did you learn how to do that? There's an immediate flashback of like tens of thousands of hours of that sucks.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Fuck. Finally. Goddamn. Hold the pen like this.
But if I tried to do what she's doing, I would fall flat on my fucking face. And to an extent. Well, yeah, but to an extent, I think that it like, I don't know, maybe you're right. Like you can reproduce it to a certain extent, but there's always going to be those little things that you're able to do that are just natural ability. I don't know. With art, I feel like it's one of those things that like people, it's an interpretation. It's a perception of how you view the world that you put onto paper or whatever you're putting it on. Right.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Right. So this is the way I see life and things, and this is how I put it down and take it from my brain and create a picture from it. So,
well, one of the things I appreciate about her art, and this is a roundabout story to that, but like, I'm an art major right now, and every day I go to school, the more I hate fucking artists. Not people that make good art, but
yeah.
Good artists, because there's most of the what you would call the art world is a bunch of untalented hacks that only got to where they're doing because they have friends that need to launder money. And the way they sell their shit is like, all right, so put this canvas on the ground, I threw some paint down, had my dog walk on it, and then I shat on it. But let me give you a fucking novel on why this is an allegory for insert subject here. And we are really passionate about it.
Yeah.
And my thing is, it's great if there's a story behind your art. However, if I can't look at it and appreciate it without the backstory, it's shit.
I would agree with that. It has to be visually appealing, right?
Yes.
It has to be visually. It has to be something visually that attracts me to it. Because at the end of the day, I feel like art should also kind of be visceral in the sense that like, okay, well, the same way that like I was attracted to my wife, right? It's like, that's how I should feel about art. That's how I feel like it should be somewhat,
I'm going to disagree with you, and I'm going to play devil's advocate for your wife. I would imagine that I don't know you. I don't know your wife. I don't know anything about her, but I'm going to take the leap that she's valuable for more than what she looks like.
For sure. But as a human being and as a man, my very first instinct, what drew me in to hear the backstory was the visual, the visual aspect of it. Like I was
that part's
I'm very attracted to this. I want to learn more. Tell me the backstory, right? It's like I shouldn't be at like an art show walking through and here's this piece that happens to be next in line for the flow of traffic through the gallery, and I'm looking at it because it just happens to be the next fucking thing that I'm supposed to be looking at. And then
I don't need a dissertation on why it's good.
Yeah, here's why this is
myself.
This is powerful because this should move you, because I'll tell you what it's doing. It's moving me to the next fucking thing.
This is literally an equal and not a good one. No, I
make the analogy, but it should be the laws of attraction from art to people. I think that there's a parallel there, and that's why you should be able to pick your art based on like, okay, I know in a split second when I look at something, it's making me want to see it more. It's making me want to know more about it, and that's powerful.
Yeah, no, there was to bring this back to fucking my art world bullshit criticisms, is we had this entire fucking class day on this one fucking artist, and all of her shit was garbage. But one of her things was she got a bathtub, filled it full of milk, and then had a bunch of cows come up and lick her. And that was art. I thought it was crap. However, there was a lot of really amazing photographs taken of it. And while I was giving my argument on why this is bullshit, the teacher was like, well, what about this? Don't you think this is good? I'm like, no, that's an amazing photograph. The photographer took that. She had nothing to do with it besides getting in the bathtub. That's two completely different fucking things right there.
Yeah, is one like marketing and the other one is like what she was doing is like marketing in a sense. Like you're trying to create a situation that provokes thought, right? Or provokes a response. That's marketing. Right.
But there's also a class issue with that, because not to sound like a fucking communist, but if me right now broke into somebody's fucking barn and filled a bathtub full of milk and had a bunch of cows look at me, I would get arrested. That person does it, and it's art. There's a line there, and I think the line should be pushed way the fuck over this way. Well,
was she naked?
Yeah, but you didn't see anything.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, okay, well,
I can do it naked too. Like, fucking, hey, man.
Naked and lady artist naked, two different things, I would imagine, in the barn community.
Yeah, no, and that's one of those things. One of those things that takes it from tripe to art and misdemeanor to felony.
That's right. That's there's so much ambiguity, and there has to be, right, for art. It leaves everything open for interpretation. I mean, and that's where people kind of get shit on in the art community. Is like, okay, well, yeah, I got it. You Elmer glued a bunch of fucking garbage together, spray painted it with some like gold leaf spray paint, and now it's art. Like you put it in front of me, and I'm supposed to be inspired by it. Like, no, I'm not. But Casey just did a huge fucking thing of Post Malone or something, and I'm like, oh well, that's pretty interesting. Like the way she played with the fucking colors and
yeah. So speaking of Post Malone though, fucking I don't like his music. Fucking I think it's garbage. However,
he's so pop.
Yeah, but I think he was on Joe Rogan, and they were talking about this band Necrogoblicon. And I went and looked those guys up. Fucking, there's this band called Necrogoblicon, and it's stupid gimmicky, and the music's like okay, but watch their music videos. They're fucking amazing. They get this dude dress him up like a fucking goblin, and then like they'll have this like super heavy metal song going on, and this dude is like, or in the video, they have this goblin that's like hanging out at home, drinking too much, fucking like waking up late, and then like stumbling into the fucking office to like try to give some fucking like PowerPoint fucking presentation, but then like he's not doing well, and like everyone else in the office is like making fun of him, and he's just like downtrodden, and it's like, oh, I feel bad for the fucking goblin. You can do it, goblin.
You can go get him, champ.
Yeah, no, but they did such a fucking great makeup job on the dude. It's like, dude, this is fucking creepy.
That you know what though? I would be willing. I don't know anything about this band, but my instinct tells me that that's probably exactly what their life is. Like whoever that goblin is, he's just a real guy, right? He's just a real guy that does go in and give PowerPoint presentations.
No. He's a real goblin from outer space.
Yeah. And he dresses up as a goblin in this music video, but he actually plays this music with his friends in a garage, and he's like, oh, I wish that I didn't have to give these stupid fucking presentations. I feel like a failure because I'm not doing music full time. That's pretty cool though. Look, that episode with Rogan and Post Malone, they were fucked up the whole time.
And like I went and followed Post Malone on Instagram after that because like, yeah, I don't like your music, but I think you're a cool dude.
He seems like a cool guy.
Yeah, like I would drink with that guy. How about that?
Yeah, he's from Syracuse, right? Is it Syracuse?
I didn't get that far.
I think he's from Syracuse, and the reason why that caught my attention was because I spent some time as a kid in Syracuse, so I was like, did I fucking know Post Malone? When I heard that, I was like, because it's not a big town.
Well, I think he's like 25 or some shit.
Yeah, so clearly I didn't. So.
You old bastard. No, but speaking of music though, fucking you had an episode with what is it, Eli Bravo. I really dug that episode.
Thank you.
That dude's fucking great on his fucking own, fucking amazing guitarist. Also like just looking at his Instagram, I thought that dude was like a fucking like sergeant.
Yeah.
And wait. So 9/11 happened like between boot camp and MCT. You look really fucking good, dude. Jesus.
He's in good shape, right? I'm like, man, this dude's older than maybe he's my age. I don't know how old he is. But he's pretty old comparatively to like what he looks like. Yeah. I would have never thought that that's how old he was, but he
was doing that shit in a barracks room,
bro.
Oh no, okay, all right, we're cool.
He's so good. He's so good, and I think he nailed it. Like I love how he put it when I was like, that song kind of reminded me of Jack Johnson. I had kind of like a Jack Johnson vibe. He's like he starts laughing right in the moment. Like so, if you listen to it or you didn't watch it on YouTube, he's laughing at me in the video version of the podcast, and I'm like what? And he goes why? I get that a lot, and I tell people like I'm like Jack Johnson got into the whiskey. He's like that's kind of like the vibe. He's like I grew up with the jam bands, and I can totally relate because I did the same, like OAR and some of those other types. Like that's what I grew up listening to in high school and stuff is the jam bands, Fish and those fuckers. So don't judge me, but
no, I'm gonna. What's your favorite band? I'm gonna judge you. What's your favorite band?
My favorite band? Oh God.
No. Don't think. Just say it.
Okay. It's Chris Stapleton's my favorite. Like if I had to listen to any music,
okay,
like a go-to, it'd be Chris Stapleton, and then probably after that would be Eric Church because he's unique and he tells the rest of Nashville to fuck themselves and does his own thing, and he's stupid successful for it.
All right. Do you ever listen to Hank Williams III?
No.
Oh, we should.
Should I?
Yeah.
Okay, I will. I'm really I'm bad at knowing the names per se, but like I really like bluesy rock type stuff. Like that's the sound that I'm into, if that helps, which is why like Chris Stapleton kind of speaks to me because I feel like he puts that off in a lot of his songs. Like it feels like if you're sitting down listening to Chris Stapleton and you don't have like a double shot of bourbon in front of you, you're probably fucking up. And to me, that's a vibe that when I am listening to music, that's probably why, because I probably had a day where I need to have a drink, that's.
All right. What about Jamie Wyatt? You ever listen to her?
I do not listen to Jamie Wyatt. I have not known because I'm not good with the names.
Oh no, she's only got like 2 albums out. She's not like super popular, but she's really fucking good.
Okay.
He does a lot of touring with Shooter Jennings.
Okay. Yeah, I'm always down, and especially if it has that vibe to it. It's like blues rock type vibe. One of my favorite memories is being in Memphis, Tennessee, with my dad and my brother, and I was on my way. Basically, I was PCSing from Belgium to San Antonio, Texas, to do the MTI gig, and I had to pick up my Jeep, which was in New Jersey, and it was just I didn't have it with me.
Cross country road trips are fucking great, man.
Oh, it was great. Oh, it was such a, man, I'm telling you, like that trip. You know, my dad's not with me anymore. He passed earlier this year, but I'm so thankful for that memory and that road trip, because we did, and we were just sitting there, just getting shit faced, listening to blues in Memphis, like.
Like live band in a fucking dive bar, because there's nothing better than a live band in a fucking dive bar.
Is what it was. But you got the impression that, like, okay, well, what I'm listening to is this guy is not like, he's not some fucking guy that just shows up like local. This is probably what I'm listening to is like, I'm getting treated to a concert, but it's the intimacy of like the 25 of us in this shithole bar. And it was,
and he probably had like maybe 2 or 3 cover songs and then sang a lot about, that thing called Life.
Yeah, it was so good, man. And it was anywhere that you went, you could carry your beverage with you and walk down the street into the next place that had a good vibe going on. We did New Orleans as well on that trip. Like it was such a good fucking time. And I really, my dad was into the same kind of music. He was my dad's favorite band, for context, and what I've heard a lot of is Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band, man. So
yeah, that's one of my dad's favorite too. Like, like I grew up listening to my dad playing fucking like shitty covers of fucking Bob Seger songs.
Yeah,
like my dad had a really good singing voice, but he was a 3-chord fucking one-trick pony with that. But his singing
I have a good singing voice, but we would blast the shit out of Turn the Page, like fucking full volume, man.
I love that song. Like my dad used to sing that a lot. But one of the things about that song specifically was because you know how like how long were you in the Air Force?
12 and a half years.
Yeah, so sort of about the same. Like that slump you got into when you were in between like 5 and 7 years, and you're like listening to Turn the Page again and again and again. And at one point, like you've been listening to this song for 23 years, and then at some point when you're 25, just the military beat you down. You're like, oh fuck, I get this song, and I
get it now.
I don't like that I get this. Oh god damn it, Bob Seger, make love to my heart. Oh no, oh god, yeah, oh,
strung out from the road, man. Listen, viewers, if you have not listened to Turn the Page by Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band, first of all, punch yourself in the face and then go listen to it because it's a good fucking song. It's a good fucking song.
And like Metallica did a decent cover of it, but listen to the original.
Yeah, go listen to the original. Go listen to Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band do Turn the Page. It's fucking amazing.
And then also listen to a song called Night Moves.
Yeah. Yes. Talk about the night moves. Man, memories. I do love that bluesy sound though. I think there's some instruments that we don't hear enough of too. I think in music, mainstream music,
like saxophone fucking disappeared in rock, and then like jazz has sucked since Miles Davis died. Sorry.
Yeah, and I think too, like I don't think the piano is represented enough either in music these days.
No, it was okay in the 50s, but like in the early to mid 70s, it really hit it where like a rock band was a drummer, a bassist, a guitarist, maybe 2, a saxophone player, a fucking piano, and a dude that was saying some shit that like when you're a teenager, you're like, yeah, dude, all right. And when you're 25, you're like, fuck.
But seriously though, like, and I really do. I wish, and I will put on a playlist anything that's like rock related with the piano in it. I'm like, okay, I can get down with this because you're bridging a gap between different genres of music, and it all ties back to classical, right? At the end of the day, like that's you can make parallels or ties back to those were the rock stars of that era.
And then one of the things about that though is like there's plenty of this on YouTube. Whatever song you want to look up, just take my word for this. Do this at some point. Go look up piano covers of insert rock or heavy metal or blues song here, and then it sounds just as good on a piano with one instrument or whatever doing it. Like there's this dude named Scott D. Davis.
Yeah.
And he had an album that was all Metallica covers, and he covered Metallica songs, but he had one of them that was won by Metallica.
Yeah.
And instead, like, because you know how like when you're listening to the Metallica song, you're like, okay, all right, so this is kind of heavy, it's kind of fucking dark, but it's heavy and dark. And then he did it like, you know, note for note, but on the piano it was like, all right, this is kind of sad. You're still in the right key. It's just okay, this is getting a little bit dark, it's getting a little bit heavy. Oh fuck, I want to kill myself. I should not be music should not elicit this emotion, but fuck, dude. I know there's no lyrics to this, but I fucking feel you, man.
It's good. Look, Elton John built a career on it, right? It's being able to play the guitar and really fucking rock some songs and get people moving. Not guitar, piano, excuse me. And the same thing. Here's a cool story. So all my kids, I played music for, while they were infants to help them fall asleep, and not like a traditional music box. I was playing, there's rock. I don't know if you ever heard of like Rockabye Baby.
Yeah, I had the Nirvana album.
Yeah, so I did.
It's like the Carousel. Is that a Carousel? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's what it's called, I think. I don't know.
But it's like the ting 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 ting.
Yeah. But it's exactly. And it was they had one for Metallica, they had one for Nirvana, they got one for they have a bunch of them. But I would play the Metallica one, and I also played the Led Zeppelin one for my middle child. She's 4, and the girl just loves. I don't know. She loves to dance. She's a wild one, but she's very artistically inclined. And it worked, and it would put her to fucking sleep. But my youngest, who turns 3 next month, she would not fall asleep to these fucking songs in Rockabye Baby form. But as soon as I put those songs on in their original form, out. And she's the most musically inclined child I have. Like this, she's like 9. She was like 9 months old, and I would put a song on, and you would like just kind of catch her out of the corner of your eye, you'd kind of turn your head and look, and she's sitting there tapping her foot, and she's with the beat of the song. 9 months old, I'm looking at her like, okay, I gotta put instruments in front of this girl. Like she gets it, man. She just, you can tell she hears, and this kind of brings it full circle to bring it back to Eli Bravo. She hears music differently than the rest of us, right? She hears it like a musician hears it. She hears, the how the notes are compiled to create the sound that you're going for, and she can discern like the beat and the bass and what's keeping the pace, the cadence of the song versus what's playing, the harmony and what have you. And she can separate all that in her head, and you can already tell, which is fucking cool. And that's how Eli talks about on that episode of Vetpivot. He talks about realizing at some point in his life, like, okay, well, I hear music differently than everybody else. That's everyone else around me kind of just hears it, and I'm hearing like all the parts. So it's cool.
What I did want to say though is you are going to have some problems with your daughter at some point, because like stereo's going to be up. What are you listening to? It's like, it's Black Sabbath, Dad. You wouldn't get it. And like, that song is 70 years old, and you're like,
I think it's so cool when they get down like the things that you're into. You know what I mean? My 4-year-old she literally just wants to spin like a ballerina. Like I get dizzy looking at her. She looks like a fucking top, just going and going and going. I'm like, how can you spin this fucking much and not puke all over my floor? She's like the dancing girl, right? But my youngest though, she's so fucking cool. Because like we can be like little buddies, and I'll be like, yeah, hey, Sophie's her name. Hey, Sophie, listen to this fucking song. Listen to the song. You're like this. And I'll put it on. And you can just see her. And she's like this. And she's like kind of like doing a little headbang thing. She's like, oh, I fucking get it, Dad. I get it. Like, I love this girl, you know? So it's cool. It's cool. Kids are fucking cool, man. They're little heathens, but they're cool. Anyways, I didn't mean to get down that route. But, you know, I know we were talking about Eli Bravo. Did you get a chance to listen to the music that he played at the end of the episode? Because I have a story about that.
Yeah, tell me the story.
So, inspiration hit. I was listening to, I don't know if you know, like, who Steve Rinella is. Steve Rinella is, he does the Meat Eater podcast. Okay, so he's been on Rogan a bunch of times. Actually, he's one of the more recent, maybe the last 1 or 2 episodes of Rogan had Steve Rinella on it.
And I have, but like, I mean, most, like, I love fucking Joe Rogan's podcast, but most of it's like, I put it on and then I go do something else and like.
Yeah. Well, they're 3 hours long plus. But I'll tell you what, I listened to the fucking Alex Jones one with ears open, right? And I was like, okay, what's this crazy guy going to talk about?
Cool. And like not the first one he had him on, but the one he had him on, and I want to say it was 2018.
Mm-hmm.
That was, and I hate to break it to you, there's nothing you and I are ever going to do that's going to top that. Like that was fucking Paragon. Like
great.
That was probably the best. That is probably the best thing that will ever be on the internet.
Yeah.
And that's including,
Well, he had Steve Rinella. Okay, so back to my original story, and we can get into Alex Jones. I would love to go down that road for a second.
When you're after this, yeah.
So he had Steve Rinella. Steve Rinella has his own podcast called the Meat Eater Podcast. He talks about hunting. He talks about wildlife preservation. He talks about ethical hunting, right, where hunting is a source of food for his family and harvesting. And he's just all the conservationist type stuff that you want to hear from a hunter, and not like, oh yeah, I just killed this animal that I have no intention of eating, but it'll be a beautiful rug. So he's a cool dude. And he had Taylor McCall, who's a up and coming country singer, who is not traditional Nashville type either. In the way that he hears me, taught himself how to play the guitar, has no formal instruction on it, so it's all fucking funky. And people are like, hey, what chord progression did you play for that song? He's like, I don't fucking know. I just played it and it sounded good and I went with it. And that's, to me, that speaks to me, because I'm like, okay, he's not fitting in this mold that you have to be, and he doesn't have this traditional education. He taught himself how to do it, much like Casey taught herself how to do the art she does. So to me, I think that's cool, because it speaks to like hustle and grind type stuff. But he had him on, and he played this song, Deep Dark Timber is the name of the episode of the podcast. At the very end of the episode, Taylor McCall plays a single that has never before been heard or released anywhere. And I was like, oh, that's fucking cool that they did that on this podcast, because it makes it even more special. And he's doing it live and in studio on a podcast, instead of having it all fucking done up and produced and made into a finished product. So it's like even more special, because it's just raw, and it's him, the artist, putting himself out there, which is fucking cool. So I listened to this song. It's called Black Powder Soul. And what I was really drawn to is like, this kid's like 24 years old, 23, 24 years old. He gets super into the wordplay and pays attention to the lyrics and how he marries the lyrics from line to line to line, and puts a lot of thought into it. He doesn't care if it gets picked up by mainstream music. He just wants it to mean something to him, and wants to connect to his listener in a way that like evokes a really powerful emotion. I'm like, this is fucking cool. What's that?
As it should be.
As it should be, right? Yeah, as a musician, that should be your goal. You're telling a story that people are like, fuck yes, I feel it. I'm going to drink to that, right? That's, you know, and it spoke to me. So if you listen to this song, you got to go back and listen. Deep Dark Timber. God, fuck, I can't get it right. Anyways, Steep Dark Timber, maybe that's what it is. Anyways, he plays the song Black Powder Soul. And I was like, dude, I rewound that episode of the podcast like 16 times. I'm not even fucking around. And I'm listening, I'm like, oh man, that's so cool. So then I'm thinking like, I got Eli Bravo coming on the show like in a couple days. So I reached out to him like, do you have any music you want to play on the show? Like, I was like, this is such a powerful thing. He's like, yeah, I got some new stuff. I got like a new single. So then he like on the episode plays this new single that he's never released. No one's ever heard it before except for him. He's still like putting it together. It's as raw can be, but it's a song about what he wished he told his wife before he left for this trip while he was in the Marines, right? And he's like, man, like I'm, as a dude, we're not the best with fucking words and feelings and shit.
No.
Right? But we have these feelings, right? It's like as soon as you get on that airplane or as soon as you walk away and close the door behind you and you fucking fade out.
Yeah, no, you shove that shit down in a bottle and you put it down your gut and
you leave. But you still
the bottle break. You get a new fucking bottle. Not fucking hard, dude. Where'd you get the first?
You still feel it. And then you're like, oh God. He's like, I just remember like on this trip, like I remember feeling like, I wonder if she knows that this is how I feel. Like I fucking miss the shit out of her and I love her. And he put all that in a song in lyrics and played it acoustic on the fucking show. Like live, never heard before by anyone else, and totally put himself out there and was completely vulnerable. And you could tell he was still working through some of the progressions and stuff like on his instrument. And it was like, holy fuck, dude. Thank you so much for doing that, for being that real, for being that authentic on the show. And I remember thinking like, God, that was,
dude, that's really cool though.
Everything, yeah, thank you. Like everything I loved about what Steve Ranella did for Taylor McCall on his episode, where he gets thousands and thousands and thousands of people that are listening to his show. He did, that's what Eli did on my show, and it's forever there. It's evergreen. And people can go and listen to Eli Bravo's episode of Vetpivot, and they can catch this single before it was ever produced and put out for consumption.
But that's
on Vetpivot
on your end, because like you're the guy that was like, there for it, that it happened to.
Yeah. And it was a realization of this moment that I had, this really emotional connection that I had to this podcast that I listened to. And I was able to reciprocate that for another artist on my own podcast.
Yeah.
Right. And for me, that was like, it came full circle. I was like, well, I was inspired by this moment by another podcaster who elevated a musician to allow them to share their story with his listening audience. And here I am now with my own podcast, like being able to do the same thing for this musician to connect with my audience. And that, to me, that was the ultimate, like, fuck yeah. You know what I mean? It was like, yeah. I'm so glad I was able to provide this platform. And even today he put out some more new music on Instagram today, and I shared it, and he was like, oh, thank you so much. I was like, bro, you're part of the Vetpivot family, man. Like you know what I mean? Like a rising tide lifts all boats. I'm here for you. Like I thank you for being on my show, and any way I can put your shit out there. Like I love it. And hopefully it connects with someone that's having a day where they need to hear your music, and that's
and that ties back to it. There's a lot of shit like the artist will never know how I felt about them fucking playing that song, but like there's been songs that like I don't know if they ever changed my life, but have fucking been there for me when no one else was. And it's always shitty because you're in a shitty situation when that happens. However, looking back on it, it's like, dude, I'm really glad that fucking shit was there. Like fucking.
Isn't that the cool thing about music though?
And most of the time you never have the opportunity to tell that artist, hey, listen, dude. Yeah. I know that we've never met before, but you were there for me when fucking no one else was in its own fucking way. And I just want to say thank you, which also has to kind of be awkward because they're like, yeah, thanks, guy.
Isn't that what's cool about music though? Is that it's got this ability to really pierce us, right? And really catch us if it's the right song, if it's done and fuck everything mainstream, holy shit. But there are songs out there that really right into the heart, man.
Yeah.
And you're really like, holy fuck, like this song catches me. And every now and again, we're lucky enough as a society to have an artist that can do that on a very large scale and speak to a big group of us. There are artists, and that's why I feel like Chris Stapleton's one of those people. And I talk about that in the Eli Bravo episode too, because he's a music guy, and he wanted to talk about music. I'm like, look, I'm a big Chris Stapleton guy because for me, I'm not listening to music all the time.
Right.
But when I listen to music, it's typically because I'm having a day, or I'm in a place where I just need to be. I need that audio hug, if you will, right?
Yeah.
Like I need that audio hug. Maybe that's a good way of putting it, right? I need an audio hug from this artist who's saying like, Chris Stapleton, Millionaire is a good one that I like that he does. He's like talking about love and the amount of love that he has. He's a millionaire in love, right? And that's what I think about. It's like, okay, well, I had a bad day, but I got enough love in my life that I'm a millionaire. In that sense, I'm very rich. I'm very wealthy in love. Which is powerful.
Yeah, one of the other things too with that though is like going back to like being a man and like not being able to talk about shit.
Yeah,
is listening to songs like that. It's like, oh, someone else has been here.
Yeah,
someone else knows exactly what the fuck I'm going through right now, and like I can't go talk to Tom, Dick, or fucking Harry about this, but in your case, Stapleton or like me, who the fuck ever. It's like, all right, buddy, bring it in. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, audio hug.
Like we said, the fucking audio hug. It's like, yeah, all right, let's
let the sound waves give me a hug here. You ready for the big fucking connection here? So yeah, we're not good at that. We're talking about audio hugs. We're talking about it was there for us as veterans, right? And we got people that are, hey, listen, I get it, man. You got fucking days. We got days. We all have fucking moments where we're like, fuck this day, dude. Fuck this day. Like, I'm fucking over it, and you're like ready to quit. What is that thing for you that speaks to you? Someone's been there before.
Yeah.
Like you said, someone's been there. We have been in your boots, brother. Like,
yeah, and you might be alone in your room listening to this, but you're not alone.
You're not alone. I fucking got you.
Yeah.
And that's huge. And I think that, man, like you're a veteran listening to this, you're a service member listening to this. Like, look, you are not unique in feeling that way, right? You may have unique circumstances, but you are not unique in feeling the way you feel about those circumstances where you're just like, fuck this, man.
Yeah. There's this song. I don't know if you ever listened to the Blue Oyster Cult.
Yes.
Have you ever heard that song, "The Veteran of the
Veteran of the what? Sorry, you skipped.
Psychic Wars"?
Yeah, I have not. But
so Blue Oyster Cult, besides like their big ones, like they had I'm Burning for You and Don't Fear the Reaper and all that shit. But most of their work was concept albums that were about like sci-fi shit. And they have this one song called "The Veteran of the Psychic Wars." It's a longer song. It's like 5 or 6 minutes long. But on the, I guess, literal version of it, it's about this guy that's been alive for like 500 years, and he's been fighting in the psychic wars the whole time, and it's all been like laser beams and fucking like fighting the Imperials or whatever. But there's also a bunch of shit where it's like, hey, listen, I don't know if there's anything left of me besides scars.
Yeah.
Like, just like fucking like, it's like, here's the like laser beam shit. Here's the, listen, my armor's destroyed. There's nothing left of the scars now. I'm trying to find something of me that was me, not scar tissue. And like, you know, if you like, not just like have the song on, but listen to the song. It's like, oh, someone's been through some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, cranked it up a little bit. Yeah, we're good.
And it hits you. It hits you, right? You're like, oh fuck. Like the armor's gone. That's like me, like who I am. My armor, my person is gone, right? And I'm left with scar tissue, which is like, okay, well, I've given up myself. And as veterans, I think that we can all relate to that. Like, I've given up myself, man. Like I gave myself to my branch of service, and I served, and I did all this, and I saw these atrocities, and I did these things, and I made these relationships, and they're not necessarily being held up because those folks are still in and I'm not in. So they're on and about their business, and I'm fucking left out here on an island. And all these feelings that we feel from leaving the military, and how that kind of like the military has a way. Oh God, let me put it this way. I wore the fucking hat, right? And I brought people in. And what was my mission? My mission was to indoctrinate you. Think about that word, indoctrinate. My mission was to indoctrinate you into the culture of the military.
So also, I don't want to talk about this too much, but I do want to bring it up because I thought it was hilarious. And if people want to know, they can go watch the Eli Bravo episode of you. But you were talking about being at the Riverwalk in San Antonio, and that's what I'm going to leave it at. I thought it was great. If you would like to know more, go check out Vetpivot's podcast. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, definitely check that out. Holy fuck. Yeah, San Antonio's a nightmare sometimes. It was such a great city, and I could never fucking take full advantage of it because trainees were always ruining my good time. But my mission was to indoctrinate you into the military culture. That means
and your job was also to be a giant asshole, which is
a fucking humongous asshole.
Like you don't seem like an asshole to me. You might be, but I haven't seen it.
I get it all the time, dude. Tripp, like I get it all the time. People will be like, You wore the campaign hat? Like, yes, like it's behind me. Like you could probably see, I don't know if you can see it on the floor, but it's there, right? It's like on the got my fucking hat, right? Here it is. Where's the camera? Boom, right? It's in your fucking face. So my job was to be that asshole. Like I had to be in your face and indoctrinating you, taking whoever you were, whatever scum that came to me, and fucking cleaning that up and making you the airman of the United States Air Force, you know? Like,
so speaking of that, anecdote to something that happened tonight that like I thought was hilarious, but also kind of cute. It's like, cause you have those moments like with your wife where something happens and like they don't understand why it's great, but you do at the same time.
Yeah.
I was hugging my wife. I was upstairs a couple hours ago, and she's got her head here. I got my hair just like quick, hey, love you, whatever. And right. We have a Yorkie that started doing some shit, and I screamed at it to shut the fuck up, like top of and for top of my lungs, like I spent half my career in the Marines as a sergeant. I know how to scream, right?
Yeah, you can bring it from the diaphragm, bro.
Right. So she's like, what the fuck? It's like her immediate reaction is like, okay, fine. You want to scream? I'm going to scream too. So she screams at the top of her lungs. And then I'm like, she's like, how do you like that? I'm like, well, A, tinnitus. B, have you ever had like 4 grown men screaming at the top of their lungs in the same ear at the same time? Baby, I love you, but you need to work on your diaphragm. Like you're screaming from the neck, not from your belly. There's a big difference between those two.
I used to tell folks, so obviously you see like I have like the blue, I call them nuts, right? I got the blue nuts, and
way. Is there a meaning behind that?
Yeah. So normally they have like, you have like the black strap, and that's what they call it. Like, oh, you're a black strapper, and you would have like a belt that went around your hat. The blue rope, as we call it, is the top 10% of the instructor course. So it's like the best The best. I don't know if the Marine Corps has like senior DIs or senior instructors or whatever it's called.
Okay, so real quick on that, the Marine Corps has a lot of traditions that, like, if you take them at what they say fucking value, means some pretty significant shit. But if you actually look into the history of it, it's super mundane. And there had to be a story to make it fucking relevant in the first place. Kind of like so the Marine Corps has this thing called a blood stripe, which is like, the red stripe down your fucking pants. And if you ask a Marine about it, they'll tell you it's to commemorate the Battle of Chapultepec, where there was officers and NCOs killed at such fucking high rate that to commemorate that forever, we're going to put a red stripe on your pants if you're an NCO or an officer. However, in real life, what happened was we ran out of money during the Mexican War, and we had to take a bunch of uniforms from the Army, and we got some that were just regular pants and some that had stripes. And because stripes are cool, they give that to the officers.
Huh.
Yeah. But don't tell a Marine that because they'll get mad.
Got it. So not like that. The blue rope is there to signify like, hey, if I'm wearing the hat and I got a fucking question on regulations, on how to instruct, on what are the best methods to motivate my flight to do what I need them to fucking do,
Find
that person. That blue rope is a beacon of information, right? So that's essentially what it is. So part of my job was to.
So anyway, your name is Billy McBadass. Got it.
That's right. So part of my job was okay. Well, now I need to help the rest of the instructor corps as well as mold and mentor these trainees on how to be fucking airmen in the world's greatest air force. So, oh fuck, where was I going with that? Totally lost it. Anyways, basically, you're ripping them down and you're building them back up. And the diaphragm, that's where I was going with it. So part of what I did was drill and ceremony. So I had to like critique and judge and help give feedback to folks who were black strappers on how they could improve their drill and ceremony. And one of those things was command voice, right? The command voice is a big deal for someone that wears a hat and marches units around.
And for those listening that don't know, a lot of what plays into this is screaming at the top of your lungs for literally hours on end.
Days and days and days and days. So yeah, so you can always tell like a brand new instructor, like someone a rookie instructor just got their hat. It's 0 week. Like the trainees just arrived, they got their first flight, and you can always tell because they lost their fucking voice. And they're like, what do I do? They're like trying to ask you. Like,
do you call them trainees or recruits?
Trainees.
Okay, yeah. So I'm imagining. So trainees, mom.
Yeah, they lose their fucking voice. So then they're coming to you like, what do I do? They have no fucking voice, and you're like, oh, good. Well, now's the time for you to find your command voice because that's what you're going to be using from now on so that you don't lose your voice. Here, eat some Skittles so you have some sort of phlegm to pull noise from your throat. And here's how you do it. So then you're taking them through diaphragm exercises, how to forcefully exhale sharp bursts of air with no sound, right? So you're going like, right? And you're like, get them to do that. And then you're like, okay, good. So now I feel like you have that. Now add sound to it using the same muscles that you were just doing. And they're like, and they're like able to project that shit out. And I would take them to the parade field, and we had like the pass and review. So you had the reviewing stand, and all the way across the parade field, you had the wing building, right? The training wing building. And I'm like, hey, look, the wing commander's sitting in there right now, probably having someone wipe his ass for him. Go wake him the fuck up and tell him that you're here with your command voice. And they'd be like, no. You know how I know you didn't do it right? Because we didn't hear it come back to us as an echo off that building. And we're not leaving this parade field until it hits that building and comes the fuck back to us. And we would just stay out there, man. And I'd be like, okay, come on. I'm still waiting. And they'd be like, well, let's see you do it, Because they outranked me probably 9 times out of 10. Like, okay, here I go. Like throw it out there, and that shit would come back. The cadence would come back, and I'd be like, okay, what do you have to say now? All right, now I maybe fucking do what I'm telling you to do. But you're right. I think that they lose their voice.
I'm not trying to be an asshole right now. However,
I've been doing this for 5 years, so just fucking listen to me. Yeah. Look, man, it's so cool. I got to play a part in the lives of 82,000 men and women and prepare them for
Number, man.
military service, right?
Yeah.
And it's
when were you there?
so I was there from 2013 and I left in 2017.
Okay. Yeah, so you're there for a hot minute.
Yeah, I was there for a while. I was there for a long ass time, man. I got there in April 2013, left in the end of July of 2017. So it was, yeah, it was a long tour. It was a long tour. It was my hardest tour. I will say it was my hardest tour because everyone goes there as hot shit and you get humbled.
Right. Well, I mean, like when it's all fucking like peak alpha males getting together, it turns out that like you're only a peak alpha male because of the environment you used to be in.
Right.
New game.
Yeah. And so you get humbled and you're like, okay, well, fuck, I need to work my ass off to get back to that peak alpha male status. And that's it takes time. But you know what? You can't do that. In my opinion, you couldn't do that without being a good person. And people did it faster than me by leaving a trail of bodies behind them. But to me, it was like, well, I'm going to keep my integrity. I'm going to stay true to who I am. And I'm going to see if that's good enough to get to where it needs to fucking go. And, I had a really rough stretch, like a year and a half, 2 years, where I had, I battled like, look, I'm going to be fully honest here. Like I battled like psychosis, man, because I felt like the whole system was against me and I had to fucking prove to myself that was true and then prove to myself that that's not a reason to fucking give up. That's a reason to fucking knuckle down and get into it. Yeah. And that's what I did. I had my boss at the time, like told me, like he sees they're called acorns, right? So these little things here are called acorns. So it's like customary when you PCS, like when you go on to your next assignment, if you were a blue rope, then you would give pieces of your blue rope to people that you thought had what it took to be a blue rope. Like it's like did
you like take scissors to it or?
Yeah, you take like scissors to it. So you have like a couple hats, right? You have a couple hats. Like it's not my only rope that I had. So I had another rope that I took scissors to, and I give pieces of my rope to people that I thought were going to make it. And it's the ultimate sign of the most successful blue ropes will have a legacy of ropes behind them who also ascended to that greatness, right? And I can tell you now, like within like 15 months of me leaving with the hat, there were at least 9 people that I gave pieces of my blue rope to that also became blue ropes.
Dude, that's
just like
that's a mark.
What's that?
That's a mark. That's a
good mark. It's like, okay, well, you know what I did? Like I didn't just get this blue rope and fucking coast.
Yeah. No,
because I helped other people.
Yeah. No, because like the way I look at it, like I don't have kids yet, right? But to equate this to that, my mission in life, I have 2 missions in life as far as I'm concerned. Like I love my dad to death, but mission A, be better than my fucking dad was. And mission B, whenever I do have kids, make them better than I am.
Yeah.
And I think that equates to that.
It's the same. Yeah, it's absolutely the same. And at the end of the day, like it shows like the core values, right? You're investing in people, and you're invested in their success. And when we invest in others' success, like with the overall mission and the overall good that comes back to your way for doing that is sometimes overwhelmingly amazing, right? And so
it's heartwarming.
It's heartwarming. You can imagine, like if I train like 82,000 people, imagine the amount of response that I get back on a weekly basis from folks who I had an impact on, who say like, even today, I got a message today from my first dorm chief, my first flight. The leader that I picked for that flight went on to have a very successful enlisted career and then commissioned. And is now, and he reached out to me and said, and he stays in contact with me to tell me all his career and life milestones. He reached out to me today and said, hey sir, just wanted to let you know I'm starting my first day as an officer today. Nice. And I was like, you fucking got this. I was like, listen, and I gave him a little piece of advice, and it's like, it never stops going, like, to teach and train and mentor and help people. And if you're in that mindset where, like, I got to help people out, I got to be there for folks, and I got to be willing for that. So to get back to my story about a blue rope, so that paints a picture of like how I treated having that rope on my hat. I had a boss who was a blue rope. He's very knowledgeable as an MTI, very, very good at the job, very successful in his flights and what his trainees went on to achieve. And, he told me he's handing out pieces of rope, it is going away to my friends, like people I served with and guys I worked out with, like our trainees. We drop them off in class and we go into the gym and we hit the fucking weights and we go running together. And, these are like my friends. We would drink like on our off duty hours together, and our wives knew it. Friends, man. And, he's handing them pieces of his rope, and he gets to me. He's like, "You don't have what it takes." And I was like, "What the fuck?"
Motivator though. Like if points to you and says, "You can't be better than me."
Yeah.
That's your mission in life, to be better than that person. And whether or not they meant that sincerely, if you have what it takes, you will end up being better than them, or you'll fucking fall on your face.
So listen to this fucking story then.
Hey, real quick. I'm going to piss, but I can hear you.
Okay, cool. I'm going to keep telling the story for the listener, for you. But let me tell this story. So then I'm like, here I am. This guy tells me this is going away. I'm going through all this shit with my command and toxic leadership and all this fucking stuff, favoritism, all the stuff that I was up against. And turns out all those people in that chain of fucking command got relieved of duty, got told to retire, got sent to the Pentagon and lost their command. All this bad stuff happened to them because they were doing bad shit. Not because, like, I needed to be vindicated. They were doing bad shit and they got caught by the IG doing bad shit. Fast forward like a year and a half. And it's my parade, man. It's my parade where I'm getting my rope and presented to me in front of 5,000 people, all these graduating flights on the parade field, waiting for my ceremony so that their ceremony could happen. So I'm going out there, I'm being presented by the wing commander, my blue rope, my hat getting put on my head. And here I am behind the reviewing stand before the ceremony starts. And who's fucking there? Is that same master sergeant that told me you don't have what it takes. And he comes up to me, and he doesn't have a campaign hat on because he's not in that role anymore. He's got his stupid little fucking chip hat on. And he's like, "Hey, congratulations." I'm like, "Hey, what are you doing here, Sergeant? Like, what's going on? Why are you here today? You here to see me get my blue rope?" He's like, "No, my son's graduating basic training today."
So he couldn't even
fantastic.
Smoke that dude's kid.
That's right. Oh, you shit on me and made my life fucking difficult and told me that I wasn't good enough to be this fucking blue rope. And here I am getting my blue rope today on the day that you're here by happenstance, right? We got graduations 52 fucking weeks a year, but this fucking week you happen to be here because this fucking week your son's graduating. You get to see me put this on my fucking head. And it's all about me today. Oh, isn't this just peachy?
Wait, okay, so after that, did you say, "All right, cool, man," or just go, "Yeah, all right, cool, man"?
Yeah, pretty much. I was pretty much like a dick about it. I'm like, "Hey, cool, thanks, appreciate it." Like, no. Honestly, here's what I said, and I don't know why I'm withholding this because it's a pretty beautiful moment. But when he said congratulations, and I shook his hand, I said, "I thought you said I didn't have what it takes." I just left it there. I hung out there for a hot minute, and he was like, "Well, obviously you did." And it was like, "Yeah, yes, I did."
Nice.
Yes, I did. Yeah. So it was like one of those moments, man. And look, it doesn't come around very often. It's like the guy that's flashing his brights at you on the highway, tailgating you the whole fucking way, being an asshole driver. You finally move over because you can. He goes past you doing like 100, flips you off, and then quarter mile down the road, the cop has him on the side of the highway fucking asking for license and registration. Like, how often does that moment actually happen in our lives? And this was one of those moments, man. I was like, fuck, thank God, like this couldn't have been more perfect. Like the commander's secretary that talked all this shit about me and made life fucking difficult. She was there in the reviewing stand. The commander, my new commander, who was told by my outgoing commander that I was a dirtbag and that I wasn't fucking, that I was like difficult and hard to fucking manage. Like he was there to see me get this accolade. And it's like, no, I'm not. I'm actually one of your shining fucking stars. Why don't you empower me and let me help people out?
Yeah, dude, like underappreciation is a fucking major fucking thing.
And personality based is what it is.
Yeah, there's a complete underemphasis on how much better of, for a lack of a better term, a worker that you can get out of just, once every couple of weeks going, dude, you're doing a good job, keep it up. And then you fuck off after that.
Empower people, man. I'm telling you right now, it's the same thing when I'm talking about this kid that started his first day as an officer. I told him, I said, look, you're going to fucking slay it, dude. But here's the deal. Empower your people to command their own fucking missions. And if you do that, they will work for you. They will bleed for you. They will die for you.
But speaking of revenge stories, because they're just as fucking satisfying.
They're great.
What is it? So I was a young Lance Corporal fucking Ainsworth at 1st Marine Division Combat Camera, and I got not FAFT, but sent a TAD, or you guys call it TDY, right?
Yep, TDY. You're going on temporary deployment.
Yeah. So I got sent TAD, TDY to the 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit, which is ship-based deployment guys. And while we were doing the workups for that, there was this dude there. His name was Rodriguez. He was a corporal, right? And he was an E4, I'm an E3, and the Marine Corps fucking E4 is fucking NCO, right?
Yeah.
And this dude was like the biggest dickhead on the planet. So yeah, well, I'm an NCO. I can do this, that, whatever. It's like, okay, first off, dude, I know I can't say this, but every time you say anything, I want to say this. First off, you're a fucking retard. Secondly, you've been in the Marine Corps for 2 years less than me. I just kind of had the wrong MOS for getting promoted, and I've been in E3 for fucking 5 years. Sorry. Also, I've been to fucking Afghanistan twice, and the only thing you've done was you hung out on Camp Pendleton. So, yeah. Anyway, fucking he ends up getting booted off of the fucking MEU, and then he makes a lateral movement over to artillery. I left 1st Marine Division Combat Camera to go to this MEU as an E3, right? I come back later to the main thing, but on the meantime, on his end, he stays a corporal, and he the way lateral movements is kind of fucking stupid, because you'll go to the MOS school, and then you'll go to your unit for a minute, but then you have to go back to your original parent unit to do all the checkout shit.
Yeah.
So I run into him afterwards, and what had happened was he took the once again, Combat Camera is a really weird fucking MOS, because there's a lot of cool guy shit, and there's also a lot of you might as well be fucking admin for this fucking shit. And everything he ever done was might as well be admin. So he lat moves to fucking artillery, does everything the fuck wrong. Literally gets his ass beat. There's this buddy I have. His name's Dan Brady. He's a comedian up in fucking Erie. Pure stroke of fucking coincidence. Ends up being also a Lance Corporal on this dude's fucking gun. And at one point, my buddy Dan kicked the fuck out of this dude. And mid-meeting, the dude's like, I'm a corporal, you can't do this. A fucking first sergeant comes over and says, what the fuck's going on? And then Dan's like, oh, he did this, on the gun wrong, right? And once again, they're using howitzer fucking 777 fucking artillery pieces. Stuff that, if you're doing it right, if you're doing it safe, you're gonna get out of the Marine Corps with the fucking 60% fucking disability fucking rating, right?
Oh my gosh.
And that's the shit right. And then the first sergeant was like, did you do that? And then Rodriguez was like, yes, first sergeant. And then he says, Brady, carry on. So he's taking his ass, right? So several months after that, fucking we're both back at fucking the head shed, right? And last time we met, he was a corporal. He was an E4. I was an E3. This is like a year later. He's still an E4. I'm an E5. And then I just had a really fucking good time at the fucking Mew, right? And I'm in there like I come in boots and utes, so like I don't have my top on, right? And he's like, "Hey, Ainsworth, how's this going? You know, blah, blah, this, that, whatever." I'm like, "Yeah, blah, blah, this, that, whatever." Ainsworth, right? And he goes, "Yeah, Lance Corporal." So I'm like, "Give me a second." You know, put my fucking jacket on. He goes like immediately parade rest. "I'm sorry, Sergeant." I'm like, "Yeah, fuck you, get lost, bitch."
I love the good old redemption story, man. Like the revenge. I think to me, it's like that moment on the parade field was already a very proud moment for me and kind of the pinnacle of my career wearing the hat. And just to have that extra little bow on the present, you know, it's like just to have that little extra piece, cherry on top. It made it that much more special for me. You know, it's like, what a cool fucking day. What a cool fucking
I'm
day.
not gonna rub it in your face that I'm fucking better than you, but
it just, and I probably will never be able to articulate it like through podcasts, but like my life was like really, it was hell, man. Like it really was so fucking tough. And when you have like literally you're in that moment, like my entire chain of command was against me. You know, I got a markdown on my EPR. Like if you know anything about the Air Force, like we don't promote quickly, and your opportunity to promote comes once a fucking year.
Yeah.
So you get that markdown. So I got a markdown. I tested well. I didn't test great, but I tested better than 90% of the people that I was testing against for technical sergeant, which is an E6 in the Air Force. And I missed
it. To go back to aesthetics, I do like. There's this thing I have about military ranks, not what the ranks represent, but what they actually look like. I think sergeant in the Marine Corps looks the best. After that, petty officer first class, and then chief petty officer, and then in the Air Force, I think technical sergeant's like the best looking.
Yeah,
you can have. You know,
it's
like
right before you add the chevron, right?
Yeah.
So it's.
But you get that like
five rockers, yeah. And so I missed that by like 0.38 points.
That sucks.
Less than half a point, and my markdown cost me 15 points. You know, so it was like.
Well, what's your point system like though? Is 15 like because like sometimes 15's like a lot, sometimes 15's like
15's a ton, man, because like if you're giving up 15 points to the majority, let's put it this way. So what we have in the Air Force, and I don't know if it's the same in other branches, but like the EPR system, our performance review system is hyperinflated, and so everyone gets max points, and then your dirtbags get markdowns, and that's, you have to really fuck up, or you have to really be hated by someone to get your markdown. And I fought my markdown so fucking hard, but I still got it, and I got denied my appeal, and it cost me the 15 points. And so I gave up 15 points to people. I got a 71 on my test. If I got a 72 on my test, then I would have made rank regardless of my markdown.
Yeah.
And so I had to I felt really sorry. Here's some advice for folks, right? So I felt really fucking sorry for myself, and I blamed the system, and I blamed the people around me for my circumstance and for not making rank. And I did that for a solid couple months. Yeah. And my wife told me,
everybody fucking does that. Like, dude, listen, I something's fucked up. I'm gonna blame everybody else before I fucking figure out. Nah, I'm the fucking problem. Like,
my wife told me that look, I probably would have never figured it out. My wife was like, "Well, are you gonna sit here and feel fucking sorry for yourself?" And she was in the Air Force at the time too, and she was a DI at the same time as I was, right? So she's wearing the hat too, and she's like, "Well, you could feel sorry for yourself, or you could just fucking get over it, slay the test, and who fucking cares what your report says?" She's like, I know you're pissed about your report, and that if your report was like everyone else's report, like it should have been, you would have been a technical sergeant in spades. But if you look at it from a different point of view, if you got one more question right, it wouldn't have fucking mattered anyways. So quit your bitching and study. And so that's what I did. And I scored the highest on the fucking test the next year, and I made rank.
Dude, that's a good way to come back. That's a good way to come back.
Yeah. So it was like, okay, well, I guess she had a good point. I could have put more effort in instead. To my defense, and there's always the back and forth, right? But to my defense, I was going to be fair. To be fair. To be fair, I was going through so much shit that I really wasn't in a headspace where studying for rank was a priority, you know, because I was still fighting what I was fucking going through.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you were also fucking like, you know, trying to take care of how big are your flights? Like
60.
What? 60? Yeah. So
60 people.
Like, you're also like not in charge of 60 people, but responsible for the lives of 60 fucking people. Like,
yeah,
everything between wiping your fucking ass and teaching them how to do.
Bro, you would not imagine, like, you cannot imagine what I've fucking dealt with. Like,
no stress, none, right?
you have to teach these boys, right, how to shave. And I say boys for a reason, because some of them don't have the peach fuzz on a fucking gnat's ball sack to shave, but you got to tell them to shave anyway. So then they go to shave, and you're like, listen, you cannot have sideburns. This is basic training. When you get into the real military, you can probably have sideburns, but you cannot have any sideburns in the military that go like you have to shave here at the top of your ear, where your ear touches your fucking head, where those two things meet. That is where you shave. That's your fucking line. And you'd have people, dude, I'm not even kidding. Like, you see my ear, they would shave the line there. And so it'd be like where the top of their fucking ear was, and not where their ear's touching their head. And so you have this big fucking line right here. And I'm like, what did you do? What did you do? So after my first flight, I'm drawing fucking pictures on the dry erase board. This is where your ear connects. Notice there's more ear above this fucking line where your ear connects to your fucking skull. But you're not going to shave up here because you look like a fucking dumbass. You're going to shave down here like a normal human being.
Oh, yeah. We didn't have that problem because the only, if there was any hair on your head at all besides your eyebrows, you were fucking wrong. So
yeah, no, don't get me wrong. They're getting cut real fucking close, and so that problem goes away. But as their hair starts to grow back in,
yeah,
you want to make sure.
I can imagine, because like fucking, I remember I got fucking like murdered one time because I had like a 1/16 of an inch of a hair somewhere over here, if I remember right. It was around the mole.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's such a look.
No, but
this bullshit, and you're like, oh my god. And then, like, on top of that, you also have, here's the other problem, and this is where I deal with like the mental health side, right? So people were like, oh, well, you were Air Force, like, how do you have like mental health problems? Like,
yeah, you fucking pussy. What the fuck did you do? Like,
yeah, you don't understand.
Oh, you went to Bahrain. First off, Bahrain sucks, but side note, you went to Bahrain. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, people don't realize, like, fucking in the military, like, yeah, there is some like worst of fucking humankind you can meet, but on a good day in the fucking military, no matter what, like, if you're admin, you work in a fucking office, you show up, you like run a couple miles in the morning, take a shower, eat breakfast, go work behind a fucking desk. That's still more stressful than, I want to say, anything besides an EMT, a firefighter, or like a cop somewhere where like, I might get shot today.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so you're dealing with 60 human beings coming from just diversity in a fucking nutshell, right? It's like the microcosm of diversity in a basic training flight. So now you have all these people from all these different walks of life, from all these different corners of the world, coming to you with all these different fucked up circumstances, individual problems, individual, mental health
Yeah, and then you are responsible.
And I'm responsible for them, and I'm the guy.
Not only training them, but making them physically fit. And if they have fucking mental issues, guess what?
Dealing with it. You're dealing with all of it, man. So I have, so I'm mostly like fucked up from, I had a trainee drop dead on me on the track. Bro, it's taken a long time to get to a point where I could just say like, yeah, the last thing that this trainee heard was me telling her that she was never going to be good enough, not going to make it. And then she fucking dropped.
Like dropped like by, or dropped like
gone. Not
no metaphor.
Did not get brought back.
Dude, that's fucking heavy, man.
Like, she's struggling. She's an early week trainee. She's going around the track, not running well, not running at all, really, struggling. And I'm yelling, trying to motivate. Like, first it was like, hey, trainee, get your ass in gear, like, get moving, start running. I know it sucks, but you got to fucking do it.
Like that fat fuck over there is outrunning you right now. Like,
yeah. And it was like non-compliant, not moving faster, not making an attempt to move faster. So then you go to your next thing. You're like, hey, you hear me? Get moving. Let's go. Right. And now you're trying to like motivate, and you're picking up a little bit of the like, go. And this person's having a hard time.
No, and it's rough on their end too, because like you don't always put it in perspective. But like I remember when I was a fucking like recruit, like, yeah, shit sucked, but the absolute last thing I wanted to do was disappoint my fucking drill instructor. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And so now she's like, I can't. And you're like, oh my God, I've seen this 100 fucking times. You come to basic training, you didn't prepare yourself, you're out of shape, and now you're fucking struggling on the run.
Pick up your fucking feet, run with your thighs.
How many thousand people have I seen that have done the same fucking thing that you're doing right now? And so I'm like, you're not good. Like screaming, you're like, you're never gonna make it. You don't have what it takes. You might as well quit now. And boom, drop.
Dude, that sucks.
Fucking cardiac failure.
Dude, no, and like for people listening that aren't military, like, you know, that's your job to motivate people, because, you know, at the end of the day, you're training people for war.
Yeah.
You're training people to push past what they normally thought they could do, because when the fucking metal meets the fucking meat, you're at some point, or you are training people for at some point to be in the situation where they can deal with life and death shit. So you have to push them further than they think they can go, which, dude, that's kind of, I'm not going to say anything along the lines of like, dude, no, I know what you mean. Or like, yeah, that sucks. Dude, no, fucking, that's going to be taxing.
And it still does. And I still have, like, I have this recurring fucking nightmare of that situation that plays out at least 3 to 4 times a week that I fucking deal with. And to have that out of my conscience, where I'm this person, like, I know how I am. I want the very best out of every single person that I ever fucking come across. And then for me to be the guy who says that to this person.
Well, no, because that's you were doing your job. You were doing what you were supposed to be doing.
Right. But coming to grips with that and being like, oh my God, like the thinking now, like, you know, and this is, and for me to be able to talk about this and not like be an emotional wreck is like years of therapy with like with a specialist and all this stuff. But it's like, dude, for me to be the guy having kids my own and thinking, oh, the last thing that my child heard
was your piece of shit,
was my piece of shit words saying that they're not good enough, they'll never make it, you might as well quit. And then they do. Like, literally their life quit existing in that moment. Like, it's just like, brother, I gotta tell you, like, when I talk about, like, it is the heaviest fucking thing in my world that I come against, like, every single day, and has shaped how I approach people, how I think about what people are going through, putting myself in their shoes, trying to understand folks better, being a little less reactive and a little more, you know, introspective. Like, okay, well, how would I feel if I was, You know what I mean? So it's
well, no, because even with that though, like I don't know exactly how all that went down with I guess the command aspect of it, but when push comes to shove, you were expected to do that exact same thing an hour later.
yeah. Yeah.
And dude, that's gonna be fucked up because, like, you know, once again, I don't know. I imagine, you know, fucking they took you off the fucking field for a fucking bit, but you know, whenever they put you back on, you know,
3 months I spent on CQ, just making sure like accountability was good, making sure that,
but as soon as you get back for it, it's like, dude, no, you're doing that again, and then like that's gonna be in the back of your mind, like, all right, don't die. Listen, you piece of shit, don't die.
Yeah, well, I had another one. So I had a scare after that. So I had another one. And here's another thing we deal with. We deal with like we deal with suicide attempts. We deal with all this stuff. And it's like all these things that you're asking a 26-year-old to go handle as a young E5, E6. It's a really taxing job. And we come up against some really bad shit, really bad situations that really mess us up. And then on top of that, it's kind of like this dog eat dog, we eat our own type culture where you're also getting it from the other side, from people that are supposed to have your back and be there for you and usher you through your time wearing the hat, based on this experience aspect of it, right? Like, hey, I've been doing this for 4 years. You've only been doing this for 2. Let me give you some more tips and tricks that have helped me get through 4 years of wearing this hat. So it's not like that. It's like, oh, you fucking suck. Get better, you know. And you're like, oh god, you know, like, this is fucking rough, man.
Dude,
but I had another kid in
the military, like that rolls back to what we were talking about, fucking with music and shit, and like, you know, just being, you know, male for lack of better terms. Like, all right, cool. Hey, your feelings hurt. Well, fuck you. Get back to doing your fucking job, you know.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, once I put that, like, once I knew like I had a chance of getting that rope, I really stepped it up and like trying to help other instructors and being as available as I could and really crack the code on, oh, the key to this whole thing is that rising tide lifts all boats type deal. Like, okay, well, how can I help you grow faster than I grew, right? Based on my experiences.
Yeah, which goes back to like your job ultimately is to make your juniors better than you were.
Yeah. And I learned that, and I learned, so I guess like main takeaways from that tour was, empathy and compassion. It was in my leadership technique. It was learning how to elevate the performance of those who worked with me and for me. And then it was on top of that, it was the sort of unlocking Pandora's box when it comes to like how to manipulate time and manage time and fit shit into 15-minute increments throughout my day, which has helped me go from being a guy with very little college education to being a guy who's now pursuing his doctorate in a matter of a couple of years, right? A guy who has executive education from MIT, a guy who got a master's degree from Purdue University. It's these are things that I was not a good student. Is how a lot of us end up enlisted in the military, is because fuck school. And in a sense, right? My what was important to me when I was 18 was not school, right? It was
I will give you that.
18 was about defiance. 18 was about, no, I'll fucking figure it out for myself. 18 was about, okay, I'll go to school, but on the minimum passing grades, and I'll go to college only because I can throw a baseball hard.
Right. I will feverishly disagree with you, though, on people only join the military because they can't get into college.
Yeah, I've seen all the stories. Some join for citizenship, some join to get out of a shitty situation at home, some join for worldwide travel, some join because they want to make a difference. I know all the user stories when it comes to.
Well, I mean, you would, because like, with Vetpivot, not plugging your podcast right now, but like point A is what you do after you get out of the military, but inevitably in that conversation comes up while you join in the first place.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you should go and listen to Matt's podcast, Vetpivot, but you should. Anyway, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Listen to the fucking podcast. Okay. Yeah, but yeah, I know all the use cases, right? I know why people join the military, and I can pretty much put that into a box because it fits into certain narratives, and when you see 82,000 of them come through, you tend to be able to see it from a different lens than your average person, right? So
and there's always a want or a need there that people are trying to fulfill, and it isn't always clear cut. But there is.
I joined the Air Force because I had nowhere to go. I had no job. I had no place to live. I had no money. I needed a job, and 2 weeks later, I was on an airplane to San Antonio. So, which in the Air Force is like unheard of. You went to the recruiter's office, and 2 weeks later, you were gone. Yeah, it's amazing what can happen when you don't care what job you get. You just need a paycheck.
When did you join?
2007. Valentine's Day, 2007.
All right. Well, I mean, in the Air Force's defense, there was a lot of shit happening in 2007, and they might have just needed a fucking body to fucking throw in a fucking number for that.
Yeah, they needed people. They needed people. Everyone needed people. Everyone needed people in 2007. That was a fucking. We were really dialing shit up, weren't we?
Yeah, no, because like, what is it? So in 2007, if I remember right, Iraq was dying down, but hold on a minute, it might not be.
Yeah,
like it's dying down, but it might not be.
Might also not be. And we have Afghanistan going on.
Yeah, and then Afghanistan was very, hey, so you know how we thought this war was over? The hottest 5 years of fucking Afghanistan was 2008, 9, 10, 11, and 12.
Yeah.
Not the fucking 7 years after the invasion, but
right. Yeah. And then on top of that, we had other shit going. I mean, man, some of the cool shit that I got to be a part of, like Gaddafi in Libya, some of the Horn of Africa shit, some of the, like, I got to be part of some cool shit in the Air Force where it was like, okay, well, we'll do this from a distance. And it was cool.
So I've been holding this story, because when you're, once again, because you're a podcaster, I think you can agree with this. Like, when somebody says something and you're like, oh, dude, I have something that totally relates to this.
Yeah.
And the conversation goes on, and then like the thought comes back, and then it goes away, and the thought comes back. So Gaddafi, I'm going to stop you on, because I got 2 stories about my dad. The first one was about Gaddafi. So my dad joined the Air Force in the fucking late 70s, got out in the fucking early 80s. Story 1 is he loaded the he was the guy that put the ordnance on the fucking aircraft, like,
right?
On F-111s. He loaded the bomb that killed fucking Gaddafi's fucking kids in fucking the fucking early 80s. The second one was I know things have changed. People don't load nuclear bombs onto a fucking airplane anymore. But when you did, what happened was you'd have the fucking plane on the tarmac, and then you had the bomb outside of it. And then what you would do was, if that plane were to go with that bomb, the guy that was on a Firewatch or CQ would put a key in. I'm sorry, not a key in. He would have a code, and then like an officer would show up with the code, and that armed it. And then you put the bomb on the plane, and then the pilot had a different code that he would type in to fucking arm it on the fucking thing. And then once he was in the air, somebody would radio in a third one, because fucking multiple levels of, hey, this is going to start World War III, so let's just make
yeah.
But he was on CQ one night, and this was in Mountain Home, Idaho, I believe.
Yeah.
And they had this thing where, like, the bomb is sitting outside of the airplane, and you have a 12-hour shift where your job is to make sure no one steals the fucking bomb or the airplane, right?
Right.
And he was bored. And there's this big control module, he said, that like went with it. And the nuclear arms or the nuclear launch code was like 36 fucking letters or whatever. And he's got 12 hours of like, I've been doing this for 6 months. I'm bored. Blah, 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 blah. Red light. Blah, 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 blah. Red light. Blah, 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 blah. Red light. Blah, 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 blah. Like green light. And then he goes, oh, fuck. And he says, I shit you not, 45 seconds later, his face was in the pavement. He's still got scars from this, from some fucking MPs grinding his face into the fucking pavement. And then he says he spent the next 3 days in a fucking basement getting the shit kicked out of him. Where did you get the fucking code? You weren't supposed to have the code. Why did you?
No.
I was bored on watch. Also, just to show the comparison between us now and back when like the military was like fuck you hard, not just like god damn it hard. My dad was in for 4 years. He made E5 3 times.
Rank is like it's such a thing now. Like it's such a process, and it's so hard to get. And I kind of really I wish I lived through the days where like it could be given and taken so easily. It's like, okay, well, I had a shitty fucking month. I lost the rank.
Real quick, my buddy Fonz said, "Fucking hey, I love you." Hey, Fonzie, if you're still here watching, I love you too, dude. The guy that commented that Fonzie, he's the guy that named my second book after. So I had to say what's up. But anyway.
Yeah, I wish that's a cool fucking name, Fonzie. I wish that it was still kind of like that, right? I wish it was like, okay, well, I had a bad quarter, and as a result, or I really fucked up, so they took a strike from me, and I want to get that strike back, so I'm gonna work my ass off now to get that strike back. It's not like that anymore. It's just so corporate now. It's like, okay, well, here's your career progression, and this is what you need to do. And
you can either take care of your career or you can take care of your fucking junior.
Yeah.
Airmen, soldiers, sailors.
I think that is the really hard part, right? Is in the Air Force, especially, we don't have warrant officers. So now we ask our senior NCOs to do a lot of that
technical
same work. You're doing the same work, you're doing the technical work, but you're also doing the senior enlisted work, right? Where you're kind of being an advisor, you're running the ship. And we don't have a lot of senior NCOs. I'm not saying we don't have any, we just don't have a lot that are willing to put their neck on the line and say, no, commander, fuck you, that's a bad idea.
No, because we have
the fuck their career. You can't blame them per se, but we're in this place where it really fucks their career up.
Yeah, no, like fucking same problem in the fucking Marine Corps, and I know for a fact in the Navy, and I would imagine in the fucking Army. Although the Army is like big enough to where like they probably have a whole slew of fucking their own fucking shit. But you can either take care of your fucking juniors or you can take care of your fucking career. And it's not both.
It sucks that way, man, because look, when I first joined in 2007, there were some old school chiefs, and those old school chiefs would tell fucking officers to kick rocks and flip flops, man, and be like, no, that's a fucking dumb idea. We're not doing that. And you're like, wow, and you're just like, as an enlisted guy, you're like, holy shit, like goals.
Yeah. But then by the time you move up the ladder enough, the fucking organization has changed. So it's like, oh, you want to do that same thing that like made you a good fucking airman? Have fun being a fucking civilian. But what I was gonna say before that earlier was, especially with our generation of military people, they get it into their head, and they are 100% correct. I can go do this somewhere else and get appreciated for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's this thing I always looked at the Marine Corps, or I noticed about fucking the Marine Corps, was as far as the senior enlisted ranks went, 15% of them fucking belonged there because they kicked ass.
Yeah.
The rest of them were there because they couldn't make it outside of the fucking military.
Yeah. It's tough, man. It's like a war of attrition, right? When you talk about it, it's like, okay, well, I just outlasted the rest of you. But I mean, for me, I get shit on all the time for getting out at 12 years. People are like, oh, you walked away from a pension, you were over the halfway mark. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand. Like I really, and this is why Vetpivot exists, and this is why my advice, I feel like, really hits home for folks and gives me credibility. But I put it
which by the way, if you haven't listened to the Vetpivot podcast, you should go listen to the Vetpivot.
Listen to it.
It's a fucking good show. There's a lot of informative and insightful things going on over there. So after you're done listening to this and all of my stuff, go over to Matt's Vetpivot.
Hell yeah. Yeah, you need to listen to it.
So also it's fun. So
and it's fun and it's motivational, it's inspirational stories from vets that have fucking been there, done that, and got the fucking t-shirt.
Wait.
Yeah,
hold on. You guys get a t-shirt?
We used to have a t-shirt.
Oh no. I meant as like a I didn't get a t-shirt. I got a good job, bud. Have fun fucking being a civilian.
No, we don't get a t-shirt. We don't get a t-shirt. We get a lot of bad advice at TAP, and then we go figure it out for our fucking self. So I talked through it with my wife. Hey, what's our plan? Where do we want to be? What do we want to do? Because this military thing can't go forever. And my wife got medically retired, and it's like, okay, well, now I'm the only one in the military, and I don't want to drag you guys all over the fucking place. It's just
but it's scary when fucking you guys get out, because it's like, beforehand it's like, dude, it doesn't matter how fucking a good or a job or a bad job I do, I'm still getting a fucking paycheck.
Yeah.
On the other hand, like the rest, it's like jumping off a fucking cliff.
You got to put yourself out there, right? And so it's like, okay, well, if I'm not just gonna do that, I got a family, I got 3 kids. I'm not just gonna fucking do that. I'm gonna have a plan. I'm gonna work towards it. The initial goal was to be done at 10. I wasn't where I needed to be. So I made the responsible decision. I extended my contract. I took another base, and at 12 and a half years, I was at a place where I was like, no, I'm where I want to be. Now I have all the ducks in a row. I'm ready to fucking jump off that cliff, right? And look, I did it, right? I did it, and I seamlessly transitioned. I worked my network. I made strategic partnerships with people that had been in and are no longer in, and are now killing it in the civilian sector. And they helped kind of light the path for me. And I did everything that my mentor told me to do. I made all the moves that got me in a good place. And at the end of the day, I got a great job in an industry that I wanted to be in, that I studied to be in, that I worked my ass off to be in. I didn't skip a paycheck. So my last day of military service was July 25th of 2019. My first day of service in the company I work for now was July 8th of 2019. So I went a month and I got 2 paychecks for that month. And when people shit on me for getting out at 12 and a half years, I always do. I tell them, like, I didn't get out thinking, no, this might be better. I got out after doing a cost benefit analysis. Okay, if I stay for 20 years, how much money will I make over the next 7.5 years to get to that 20-year mark, right? Then I did the whole, okay, and then assuming on the career trajectory that I am on, if I make one more rank while I'm in over 7.5 years, which is probable, and it's also kind of undercutting myself or underselling myself based on how I think I would perform, but I want to be fiscally responsible. Okay, so now I'm saying that I'll make one more rank, which would be E7. E7 retirement at 20 years with a high 3 is X amount of dollars per year for the rest of my life. Life expectancy for me based on the average male is X amount of years. So that's this many years that I will make that much money every single year for the rest of my life. And I just did a calculation. So now let's say that I go to this company and I want to make X amount of dollars, and I'll just put a dollar amount on it. Like, let's say I want to make $100,000 a year based on my education, my experience, which is absolutely doable for my situation, how I set myself up. So now I'm saying, okay, well, if I do that, that's that much money for the next 7.5 years. And then it's that much money for the next, and I'm taking into account 0 promotions if I just had the same job all the way through. Right. It's like, okay, no merit-based promotion, no cost of living promotion. Just, I will have made more money when I did my cost benefit analysis. I will have made more money in 10 years than what I would have made off my retirement going out to age 70. So for me, it was like, yeah, this makes more sense, right? Because now, and for the listener, if just talk to me. If you don't believe me, just talk to me and I'll run you through all the math. But for me, where I'm at and what I'm being paid in my position based off of 0 promotions, 0 increases in my pay, which is, not going to happen. It will go up because there's this thing called cost of living raises and stuff like that, right? So, in the way that I've done my investments, I will retire. I'm 36 now. I will retire in the next 9 years, and I will never have to work again. I'll be done. And to me, it's like
worth it.
Worth it. That's 9 years. They're saying I'm a fool for getting out, and I would have had to done 7.5 more years. So what are we even talking about right now?
Yeah, no, and that's still before fucking 50, you know?
It's still before 50. And if I had retired as a master sergeant at the age of 44, right? I would have, I still would have had to get a job.
Right.
And bring in income. This is me retiring. Like when I say retire, it means I'm not working.
Yeah, done.
I'm sitting on my fucking ass. I'm doing nothing. I'm watching my kids do their shit. Right? I'm cool. I'm chilling.
And then we can do this thing where vet pivots are about an hour long, where you shoot 4 of those a fucking day.
I do as many vet pivots as I want, brother. That's what I'm saying. Like it's like, if I want Vetpivot to become the Joe Rogan experience of the veteran world, I can fucking do it.
Dude, you're going to have to get your own studio. B, fly people in. C, no one can be sober.
Let's do it. Let's do it. New Jersey just passed public question number 1, which was legalization of marijuana for recreational use.
Hey, so real quick on that, whenever Vetpivot does get to that point where you're at the point where you fly everyone in, not ask them to come, you fly them all in to your studio to do it one-on-one. I called dibs on episode 1.
You fucking got it.
All right.
Put it in writing. Let's do it. Let's just nail it down now. Episode 1 of Vetpivot in studio, flying folks out. Put it in writing. Send it to me. We'll do a napkin contract right now.
There you go. It's on YouTube forever.
Oh. I love it, man. It's been a lot of fun. Like I love the way that season 2 is going for Vetpivot. It's gotten more conversational. It's gotten more like how we're doing right now.
Yeah, it's personal.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot more personal. Adding video to it's been huge. People are tuning in, at a rate like. I took the entire month of August off just to deal with personal shit and things that were going on and transition and strategize from season 1 to season 2. And I just felt like it was important to have sort of that break where it's like, okay, well, should I keep fucking doing this? Because someone had asked me before, they're like, well, you're set. Like you have a really good job. You're an executive at a big firm. And like,
is that fun and fulfilling though?
Right. And that's the thing. They're like, so why do you do Vetpivot? And I'm like, they're like, you don't have to. You don't have to. You could just be cool and like hang out with your family and make your paychecks and just be fucking chill. And I'm like, nah, yeah, but this is more fun for me. Like when someone asks me like, what's your dream for Vetpivot? Like, I don't know, do it full time. I would love to do it full time and not have to fucking do anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bullshit with people. Like, is that
just bullshit?
Yeah.
And talk to other veterans and hear about their stories and motivate and inspire, people that are going through it, man. Cause it's, transitioning out of the military is fucking scary. It's scary. It's such an unknown. And I'll go back to that word, indoctrinate.
Yeah.
My job at one point in time was to indoctrinate people in. And now I feel like it's my mission to kind of pull them out and lead them out. Right. And that's
like Ronald McDonald, you're playing both sides. So no matter what.
Yeah.
Do you know what I can't wait for on Vetpivot though? Is when you're talking to someone and you have that oh my God moment where you're like, you joined the not you joined the Air Force.
Yeah.
After I started this, but fuck, you were born after I started this.
God, yeah.
Because like I don't know if you had that moment. When did you say you got out? 17, 19.
19. Yeah.
So right before I got out, I had like fresh fucking 17-year-old fucking Marine show up to the fleet, born after 1911. I was like, holy fucking God, I'm old.
Yeah, I had trainees that were not alive when 9/11 happened. And it was like, holy fuck, man. Like I was 17 years old sitting in fucking English class watching that happen on the screen.
Yeah.
In a suburb of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Like, holy fuck. and here you are, you weren't even in existence, man. You were still sitting in your daddy's sack. Like, how is this a thing? You know? And it's like, it's just nuts to me. It's nuts to me that, you know, as we progress through time and age, and I just hope that I can continue to stay relevant and help the veterans that experience. I think what I'm probably afraid of is, how do I help the veterans that experience the military after I got out of it? You know?
Yeah, and especially as time goes on, where because like the military is constantly fucking changing. So,
Right.
like for the sake of argument and for hope, because I really do hope that Vetpivot's around in fucking 10 years. But if you're doing this, when you're doing this 10 years from now,
Yeah.
you're gonna be talking to people that fucking are doing some fucking awesome shit, that started doing awesome shit a year after they got out, who are 12 years old right now.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and you're gonna have to like stretch to fucking relate, because it's gonna be a different fucking animal.
It's gonna be weird, man. It's gonna be like, when they talk to you. Here's maybe a little bit of the saving grace, right? And I feel like we have this disconnect now. If you look at our own relationships, when you talk to someone that served pre 9/11,
Yeah,
and got out before 9/11 happened, and then you talk to us that served after 9/11, and we were a part of the GWAT stuff, right?
yeah.
So having that conversation with your desert storm type vets, and then us, it's two totally different fucking things. Talking about the longest conflict in the history of the American Armed Forces versus something that lasted 48 hours right now. It's like,
If you don't count the Indian Wars.
sure, yeah. Don't count the Indian Wars.
Although
how
on
many
that,
branches of service were around for the Indian Wars?
The guy I'm having on tomorrow, he was a major in Desert Storm. In the
Really?
There's one thing I'm really excited to fucking talk to him about, because like the reason I'm having him on is because I read his memoirs, and there's a few things that I related to a little bit too much, mostly with the whole like, hey, you joined the military because you had shitty parents. Can't relate to that, right? But B, he had this like whole part of this fucking book where he had to leave Iraq, go down to Saudi Arabia to get what's essentially a USB connector.
Wow.
But it was in 1991, and that thing weighed 45 pounds.
Holy fuck.
There's 6 of them on the planet, and one of them happened to be in Saudi Arabia. And since he was the fucking not comm chief, but like the CO of the fucking communication section.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, the XO of the communication section. He had to be the guy that like hand fucking delivered this thing from fucking Riyadh to fucking wherever fucking they got to, and fucking
holy shit,
in 1991. And I'm really interested to see how that goes. So, you know, fucking
that's gonna be a cool conversation for sure, man. Like every time when I talk to the ones that were in before us, especially before the GWAT stuff, like I'm always pretty impressed. Like it's an interesting time period to be in the military, because we didn't have like major conflicts going on per se, but we had a lot of stuff that kind of just spun up quick, and then, you know what I mean? So they were in this training
or fucking
Bosnia and Herzegovina and stuff. Like it's a different time. It's a different time period, and it's probably the time of like being on alert but not actually going out, you know. So
there's a big difference between like, my mentality is I have to be ready for something to happen, vice I gotta be ready to go fucking tomorrow, because like we're gonna go fight this fucking war that's been fucking going on, and we already know shit's fucking going down.
Yeah, because you're already, if you joined after it, like you're already mentally prepared for it. You're like, okay, we're going. Whereas they are like, oh fuck, I joined, nothing was really going on, but now something could be going on. Like, oh shit, like I gotta be fucking ready, you know. So it's definitely a different mindset, frame of mind to be in, as it pertains to your service and you know, readiness. So it's very cool, very very cool, to talk to the Desert Storm folks and the guys and gals that served in the 80s as well, you know. And you have Reagan and his shit going on, and I know. I would love to talk to folks that were part of like the Space Wars program because I think that would be fucking badass. I'd love to know more about it on like a
like
on
2
like,
years once they like start getting people in. Well, actually, give it like 6 years. Let's start getting people in.
yeah. I want to know more about that. I want to know more about like okay.
I have a challenge for you. I have a challenge for you, Matt.
Okay, let's hear
Okay,
it.
so like right now, like you can't join the Space Force like straight out of fucking like boot camp. Like you have to like lap move over from the fucking Air Force to the fucking
Right.
Navy. My challenge to you is to get the first motherfucker that signed their papers straight out of fucking high school to join the Air Force. And then
do it.
out because, man, fuck this shit. I'm gonna go make $1 million after this shit. You get that motherfucker on your fucking show.
I want them. I want that person on my show. I have friends that have now become part of the Space Force. Yeah, it's pretty funny to see like their feed, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
What? Like
No.
it's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, but speaking of like Desert Storm era, like what the fucks? I have this buddy, older guy. So I'm friends with him because his cousin, they have like a weird family structure. They're Catholic, so like oldest siblings like fucking 70, youngest one was like in her 20s, but like from the same mom, just because pump out fucking whatever. And I'm friends with him because his cousin was one of my junior Marines. Got killed in Afghanistan, but like me and Steve ended up being fucking cool anyway. But this fucking dude had a fucking wild thing. I would have him on here, but he's for lack of better terms, technically illiterate. That and the dude fucking works like 140 hours fucking week, just fucking grind. But he was on one of the fucking East Coast Mews, fucking put Marines on ships and out the fucking seas, whatever. They went to go do this fucking training exercise in fucking Finland or Norway, somewhere in Scandinavia. Yeah. They're up in the Arctic Circle for like, 5 or 6 months, fucking doing their shit. Get on the boat, start heading back to North Carolina. They're like halfway through the Atlantic, and then Saddam Hussein fucking invades Kuwait. So they turn the boat around. He goes spends 6 months in fucking Saudi Arabia, then like does the whole fucking Iraq thing. Fucking after Desert Storm, they get back on the boat. They start floating back towards North Carolina. They see the coast. The boat turns around, and then they go to Somalia.
Oh, no.
And then, fucking they turn around, fucking blah, blah, fucking whatever. So, I know it's a little bit different between the Air Force and the Marine Corps, but like in the Marine Corps, like it's really hard to get fucking ribbons for shit.
Yeah.
This dude was technically on one deployment. Did 4 tours, went to 3 fucking combat zones. I'm sorry, fucking there was another one in there somewhere, but I forget what the fucking third one was. One deployment, fucking like 3 or 4 fucking tours, goes to 3 fucking combat zones. Spent 4 years in the Marine Corps. 3 of it was on this one fucking deployment. Fucking, and then like ribbons up to his fucking like the bottom
of his shoulder. Yeah, he's like one of the rare that have the 4 wide, like
yeah,
all
the way up. And like the dude's like, if you talk to this dude, you would have to talk like, and this guy, like when he's sober, fucking talks faster than I do when I'm fucking hammered. And you'd have to talk to him for 3 hours. You're like, oh yeah, so that reminds me back when I was in the Marine Corps. And you're like, wait, hold on. Like we had this like huge ass conversation about your life, and then like this comes up now. And it's like, oh, well, I mean, minor flip, but yeah, and we did that. But anyway, let me talk to you about fucking the fucking rear end on a fucking 60 fucking Firebird real quick. It's like, well, hold on. You fought in fucking 3 fucking wars, and that was like half of a fucking sentence that you're bringing up. Oh yeah, well, I mean, yeah, we did this in Somalia, we did that. Anyway,
people breeze through that shit.
Posy track on a fucking Plymouth.
Oh my God.
All right, dude, fucking we'll get back to it.
Wait, we do get ribbons, to your point though, in the Air Force for fucking anything, bro. It's crazy. They just give them to us.
Yeah.
I went like I told you, I went to Qatar, and I was in Qatar for 7.5 months, and I came back with like 6 new ribbons. I went from having 5, I come back, I got 11, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, what did I do? They're like, oh, you get a ribbon. You fucking little Oprahs at the admin building handing out ribbons. But Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, but man, this has been fun, Tripp. I really appreciate it. I know we totally blew through that 2 hour time.
Because beforehand I was like, we're gonna have a strict 2 hour time limit. But dude, no, we were fucking getting into it. Like we're about 3 hours now.
Yeah.
I think we had a really good fucking combo, man, and we're gonna have to do this.
Oh yeah. Yeah, let's do it again. I'm totally all about it. I had a blast. This is honestly, this is the kind of stuff that needs to happen. Hopefully you got lots of comments and people partaking in the conversation a little bit, even though we weren't engaging them so much. Hopefully they were engaging us.
Yeah. Also, viewers, I'm sorry that we got back to a few, but then we kind of got off on a tangent. But
it happens. It happens. But this is the kind of stuff that needs to be happening in the veteran community. It's just us, getting together, having fun conversations like this, and just it reconnects us and makes us feel like we're still part of.
Yeah. So either I can come on your show and we can have. I do not mean this is going to sound like I'm talking down, but I swear to God I'm not. We can have your hour-long conversation, or you can come back on mine. However, next time you have to be I'm going to say at least 6 beers deep before live.
I did half a fifth of tequila while we were doing this. Just
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I'm only like 8 beers in right now. So
you got work to do, man. You got work to do. But look, this has been. I don't know how much is this in tequila. This is what I did.
Yes.
It was a lot. I'm gonna sleep in tomorrow.
Hey, it's Saturday. That's what it's for. It's the Sabbath. Saturday is the Sabbath. Fucking. This is a whole fucking other tangent I could talk to you about an hour about, but let's just chalk it down to Saturday's the Sabbath.
All right, got it. Yeah, as long as my kids don't come in and drop the people's elbow on me while I'm trying to snooze this one off.
From my experience of being a kid, have fun with it. Not that.
Yeah, that's always the way it goes. Oh, Dad, you had fun last night? Fuck you. You're right. Like you said, wake up. So it's
they got like 2 little milk cartons like down in it, like they're fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, that's right. And typically it's like a direct ball shot, like almost every time. It's like, oh, we're gonna jump on the bed. Let's wake up, Dad. Balls. And you're like, oh,
you don't need this anymore. You had me.
Yeah, what a way to wake up. Let me tell you, if you've never been woken up that way, just have someone wake you up like that one time, and that'll probably tell you whether or not you want kids. Anyways, I know. Let's do this again for sure.
Absolutely.
I'm all about it.
All right. Well, thank you for being on. Fucking. What is the Air Force's fucking motto? I'm sorry,
Hey, air power, man.
I was going for whatever the Latin thing was, but fucking.
Oh, we got like aim high, fly, fight, win, air power.
Hey, aim high, semper fi. How about that? Aim high.
Rock and roll.